Chapter 1060. Who is Qi Hongyang going to challenge? It wouldn't be the first arena's arena lord, right? That's unlikely. If she failed to challenge the first arena, she would only have one chance left. No matter what, she wouldn't take such a risk. I think there's a 99% chance that it isn't the first arena. Yes. That makes sense. Green Lightning King Jiu Qingxue hasn't made her move yet, so it's unlikely that Qi Hongyang will take the risk. As for deciding who's the winner of the first arena, there will be plenty of opportunities later. Everyone was curious about who Qi Hongyang was going to challenge. Whoosh! In the western grandstand, Qi Hongyang's figure flashed and she flew to the second arena. The champion of arena number 2 was the Black-Winged Leopard King of the Vermilion Birdstar region, ranked 24th on the Sky King list. When the Black-Winged Leopard King fought the former champion of arena number 2, the speed that the Black-Winged Leopard King displayed was terrifying. In terms of speed alone, it would be at least in the top 5 on the Sky King list. It was understandable that Qi Hongyang had chosen to challenge him. How unlucky, he actually chose me. The Black-Feathered Leopard King smiled bitterly. Among the 10 arenas, the Azure Dragon Star region took 3, the White Tiger Star region took 3, and the Black Tortoise Star region had the least, with only 1. The other side probably wanted to suppress the Black Tortoise Star region as well, since they were much weaker than the Azure Dragon Star region and the White Tiger Star region. For them to be able to fight on equal footing with the Black-Feathered Leopard King was more or less a part of it. Why did they not choose Yi Chen? It was a bit risky. They did not choose Du Shuo because she was a woman. Therefore, they could only choose the Black-Feathered Leopard King. Fine, I'd like to see just how much of a gap there is between me and the top 10 existences after 3 years. It was not the Black-Feathered Leopard King's style to blame others. His battle intent was at an unprecedented high. Not everyone could fight with the top 10. I'm sorry. Choosing you is the best choice. Qi Hongyang said helplessly. She did not choose the Azure Dragon Starfield because she had the White Tiger Starfield in mind. The Green Lightning Monarch Jiu Qingshue's strength was incomparably powerful. If she chose to challenge the Azure Dragon Starfield, there was no guarantee that the Green Lightning Monarch Jiu Qingxue would not stand up for the Azure Dragon Starfield and challenge the White Tiger Starfield instead. Hence, she could only choose the weakest option. Make your move. The Black-Feathered Leopard King calmed down. All right. Qi Hongyang was not verbose. Her eyes instantly turned cold. Her long platinum hair danced without any wind, giving people a demonic and somber feeling. Platinum, which Qi Hongyang, ranked 9th on the Heavenly King list, was an extremely difficult and terrifying person to deal with. Her long platinum hair was said to be able to shatter stars. Whoosh! Qi Hongyang suddenly disappeared, and when she reappeared, she was already in front of the Black-Feathered Leopard King. She stretched out her jade-white palm and reached for its heart. The Black-Feathered Panther King's heart started to beat violently. It was as if an invisible hand had grabbed his heart and squeezed it gently. The Platinum Witch's heart-excising palm was also a powerful killing move. However, the Black-Feathered Panther King was a Black-Feathered Panther King after all. Only a few people could match his speed. Without seeing him move, his whole body suddenly disappeared, and Qi Hongyang's hand grabbed nothing but air. Not bad. Qi Hongyang laughed. A strand of her long platinum hair grew and wrapped around the wrist of a palm that was attacking her from behind. It turned out that the Black-Feathered Panther King had planned to attack Qi Hongyang from behind with his shocking speed. However, it was obvious that Qi Hongyang's senses were very sharp, and the Black-Feathered Panther King had missed. Qi Hongyang, your 3,000 platinum threads are very powerful too. The Black-Feathered Panther King grinned. His whole body twisted and disappeared. It was just an illusion. Oh, it seems like I have underestimated you. Qi Hongyang's platinum hair danced in the wind like hundreds of white snakes slithering in all directions. Everywhere she went, an illusion of the Black-Feathered Panther King would shatter. In the blink of an eye, all the illusions of the Black-Feathered Panther King had disappeared, leaving only the original body. Roar! The Black-Feathered Panther King knew that he had to use his full strength. Otherwise, he would be defeated very soon. A terrifying aura exploded from his body and was immediately absorbed into his body. The black-feathered Panther King had turned into a leopard man with a pair of black wings on his back. Demon Beast Realm. The black-feathered Panther King had also reached the Demon Beast Realm. Although the Demon Beast Realm was equal to the second stage of the Selfless Realm, in terms of actual combat, it was much weaker. The Selfless Realm allowed one to exert their power to the limit. The Demon Beast Realm was powerful enough, but it was still weaker in terms of control. Regardless, not everyone could reach the Demon Beast Realm. The increase in power was not small. This is more interesting. A smile appeared on Qi Hongyan's face. While Qi Hongyang was fighting the black-feathered Panther King, on the other side of the fourth stage, Lan Xian was also fighting against an expert ranked 88th on the Heavenly King list. This person came from the Azure Dragon Star area and was known as Lightning Spear Cao Huan. His spear skills were as fast as cosmic lightning. Ordinary people couldn't react in time and would be pierced through the throat by his spear. The two fought for hundreds of rounds and were evenly matched. Good. I didn't expect a nobody like you to be able to exchange hundreds of moves with me. You should be proud. Cao Huan's expression was a bit ugly. He was ranked 88th on the Heavenly King list, while his opponent was just a nobody. This unfair battle should have ended quickly, but he didn't expect it to drag on until now. Thank you for the compliment, but Lan Xian still wants to advance a few more steps. Lan Xian was neither humble nor arrogant. In your dreams. A terrifying aura burst out of Cao Huan's body. He suddenly entered the Selfless Realm. His hair grew a lot longer, and his pupils turned silver, without any emotion. Cao Huan is serious. The winner has been decided. The people from the Azure Dragon Star area calmed down. That may not be true. Someone retorted. In the arena, Lan Xian also burst out with a terrifying aura. Her blue hair fluttered in the wind, and her pupils became silver. She was also in the Selfless Realm. She entered the Selfless Realm. Jinghong Prince had chosen the same path as Lan Xian. His eyes were full of surprise. He had thought that no one on the Firebird Star could enter the Selfless Realm except for him. Cao Huan gradually felt that something was wrong. He roared, and countless lightning spear shadows shot toward Lan Xian like a peacock spreading its tail. The peacock spread its tail. Cao Huan's killer move. Any killer move will have a flaw. The more gorgeous it is, the harder it is to hide it. Yi Chen's words were still ringing in his ears. Ha! Lan Xian gave a low shout and used the most basic sword move to counter. Just as she was about to be drowned by the countless lightning spear shadows, Lan Xian's figure flashed, avoiding the strongest part of the attack. Although she had lost her left arm, it was enough. Kai! She swung her sword, and a red sword light slashed toward the center of the peacock's tail. Third drive, falling leaf slash. Ding! The peacock's tail was broken. Cao Huan's right hand went numb, and he was left wide open. Hurricane God Fire. Then Lan Xian's second killer move came. The wind fed the fire, and the fire took advantage of the wind. Compared to her sparring with Yi Chen, the Hurricane Godfire this time had fewer variations. It concentrated its power, and like a crimson divine wind, it swept past Cao Huan's body. Fat! Cao Huan turned into a skeleton. Lan Xian won. After defeating Cao Huan, Lan Xian suddenly went from a nobody to a famous person. After the trial of God ended, when the Heaven King list was updated, Lan Xian would definitely be on the list. As for how high her rank would be, it would depend on whether she could continue to advance. After all, Cao Huan was only 88th on the Heaven King list this time. Whether she could enter the list next time was still a question. Besides Lan Xian, Jinghong Prince also shocked everyone. He was ranked 94th on the Heaven King list, but he defeated Iron Whip King, who was ranked 82nd. Two masters suddenly appeared on Firebird Star. This was shocking. After all, there were only 20 people on the Heaven King list in the Vermilion Bird Star area. There were thousands of planets in the Vermilion Bird Star area, and more than 90% of them didn't have a single person on the Heaven King list. But then, Jinghong Prince was defeated by Silver Whip King. In the younger generation of the four major star areas, there were three strongest Whip Kings, Iron Whip King, Silver Whip King, and the strongest Golden Whip King. Silver Whip King was ranked 57th, so Jinghong Prince's defeat was understandable. With Jinghong Prince's defeat, Firebird Star's luck seemed to end. Lanxian was defeated by Liu Yu, the 51st ranked Flying Locust Rock. Liu Yu's Flying Locust Rock was elusive, and Lanxian couldn't get close at all. She lost miserably, but this was also because she had been asleep for 5 years. If she hadn't slept for 5 years and met Yi Chen, it was unknown how much stronger she would have become. On Yi Chen's side, the Black Feather Leopard King was defeated by Qi Hongyang. Qi Hongyang was ranked 9th on the Heaven King list for a reason. The Black Feather Leopard King couldn't even make Qi Hongyang enter the Selfless Realm. Her platinum hair strangled her to death. After the defeat, the Black Feather Leopard King didn't suffer any setbacks. He went to challenge Arena 8. The Arena 8's master was someone on the Heaven King list from the White Tiger Star area. With his superb speed and strength, the Black Feather Leopard King became the master of Arena 8. However, he was still in danger because the Azure Dragon Star area's Green Lightning King Jiyu Qingxue and the dark-skinned young man from the Black Tortoise Star area hadn't made their moves yet. The dark-skinned young man's strength was unknown. If Green Lightning King Jiyu Qingxue chose him, the Black Feather Leopard King had no confidence in defeating her. The dark-skinned young man still hadn't made his move. Everyone looked at Green Lightning King Jiyu Qingxue. Whoosh! Green lightning flashed, and Jiyu Qingxue appeared on Arena number 1. She chose to challenge Arena number 1's master, Yi Chen. With the strength of Green Lightning King, Jiyu Qingxue was ranked 4th on the Heavenly King list. If she avoided the first arena, it would more or less make people think that she was afraid of Yi Chen. She herself also thought so. As a genius, she could lose, but she absolutely could not be afraid. Between dying standing up or living lying down, she would choose the former. Moreover, Yi Chen's strength wasn't enough to move her. As expected. On Arena number 2, Qi Hongyang smiled. Yi Chen. Both Du Shuo and the Black Feather Leopard King looked over. Chapter 1061. My title is Green Lightning King. Speed is my advantage. Be careful. Jiyu Qingxue said to Yi Chen. Qi Hongyang curled her lips. Speed was not the only advantage. Jiyu Qingxue had the thunder and water astral body. Coupled with her high comprehension, her defense and strength were beyond the norm. I will be careful. Yi Chen nodded. Crackle. As soon as Yi Chen finished speaking, a spark flashed in the air. Jiyu Qingxue appeared on the right side of Yi Chen. However, she did not make a move because Yi Chen was facing her. Another spark flashed and Jiyu Qingxue appeared behind Yi Chen. However, Yi Chen was still facing her with a cold gaze. Jiyu Qingxue pushed her speed to the limit and appeared in front, behind, left, and right above Yi Chen. The 5 Jiyu Qingxue looked so real that it was hard to tell which one was real. To be exact, all 5 of them were real to a certain extent. Should I set up another layer of electric field at the place I moved to? Yi Chen pondered. The speed of the electric field was equivalent to the speed of light. Although Jiyu Qingxue had not reached the realm of moving at the speed of light, she was very close to it under the effect of the electric field. It's time to end the test. As he spoke, Yi Chen's left hand trembled slightly. In the next moment, 4 of the 5 Jiyu Qingxue disappeared, leaving only the one in front. Your reaction speed is one of the 3 I've seen in my life. Jiyu Qingxue said indifferently. If her speed was close to the speed of light under the effect of the electric field, then Yi Chen's reaction speed had far surpassed the speed of light. Not only that, he could still calmly analyze the situation. This kind of state of mind was terrifying. It was as if he had entered the state of selfless heaven eye. The spectators were all drenched in cold sweat. The probing of these 2 was too terrifying. Even before they started fighting, they already felt a heavy pressure. Jiyu Qingxue's movement speed had already surpassed the Black-Feathered Leopard King. If the movement of the Black-Feathered Leopard King could be said to be traceable, Jiyu Qingxue's movement speed was completely untraceable. As for Yi Chen's reaction speed, it caused the spectators to despair. When facing someone with such terrifying reaction speed, could you still hope to catch him off guard? He could only fight the opponent head-on. As for speed, It was better to hide it. Zhu Jian seems to be very angry today. 5 paths, 5 stages. In fact, they were all the same. They were all 10 arenas. In other words, no matter which path one chose, the 4th stage they would face would be the same. Unfortunately, no one knew this. Everyone thought that the 4th stage they would face would be different from the 4th stage of the other 4 paths. On the northern grandstand, Yang Feihua laughed. The violent Queen Yang Feihua came from the Black Tortoise starfield, ranked 8th on the Heavenly King list. She was a top genius in speed, defense, and strength. In addition, her eyesight was also extraordinary. It was said that there was no battle she could not see through, no trajectory she could not see through. Everyone's impression of her was that she could see through all trajectories and counterattack with the most violent means. Yeah, the Golden Whip King is ranked 16th on the Heavenly King list, but he couldn't even launch a normal counterattack. The Strange Speed Wolf King beside Yang Feihua's side. The Strange Speed Wolf King also came from the Black Tortoise starfield, ranked 14th on the Heavenly King list. He had extraordinary speed and wolf-like intuition. Although his defense and strength were not as good as Yang Feihua, it was only relatively speaking. Only those from the Vermilion Bird starfield knew that Zhu Jian's anger was because he was almost eliminated in the 3rd stage. This was something he could not tolerate. When had he, Zhu Jian, ever been so embarrassed? Clang, 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 Zhu Jian's punches landed on the Golden Whip King's thick golden whip, leaving shallow fist marks on its surface. Sparks flew, and the Golden Whip King was pushed back again and again, his arms on the verge of breaking. Don't think you can beat me so easily. A terrifying destructive aura erupted from the Golden Whip King's body. This aura was probably the first one he had experienced in so many battles. Obviously, Zhu Jian's strength had stimulated the Golden Whip King's full potential. It's useless, the gap between you and me can't be measured in miles. Zhu Jian still threw out a punch. This punch didn't give people the feeling of grandeur, but it brought with it a heavy pressure of death. Under this heavy pressure, few could stand up and face this punch head-on. Roar. An angry roar sounded. The Golden Whip King's golden whip lashed out, a dazzling golden light pierced the void. Clang. But as Zhu Jian said, all the Golden Whip King's efforts were in vain. Under the absolute gap, his golden whip was once again smashed back by Zhu Jian, unable to fight back normally. Clang. 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 Punch after punch, the Golden Whip King gradually retreated to the edge of the stage's protective shield. Another punch came, but the Golden Whip King slammed into the protective shield and bounced back in front of Zhu Jian. Boom. White and red blood splattered everywhere. Zhu Jian's punch smashed the Golden Whip King's head. Is this the combat strength of the 3rd place on the Supermaster list? It's so powerful that it makes people desperate. Well, Zhu Jian hasn't entered the selfless state so far. I think the Golden Whip King can't make him go all out. In the stands, everyone shook their heads. My field is the field of electric field. Within this field, no one can surpass my speed, and no one can attack me. As you said, the test is over. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. With Jiyu Qingxue as the center, the invisible electric current covered the entire number 1 arena, leaving no blind spot. The field of electric field, that is to say, there is no need to move to a certain place to set up an electric field. In her field, everywhere is an electric field. It's really tricky. And this field has reached the 4th level. It's difficult for me to suppress it with my sword field. In the field of the same realm, the sword field was the king, but the gap was only a little bit, and it was impossible to surpass it too much. Moreover, the field of electric field was a unique field, invisible and intangible. It was not composed of any elementary particles, but it existed objectively. Hiss. The existence of the field of electric field brought Jiyu Qingxue's speed 1 step closer to the speed of light. It should be known that the higher the speed, the more terrifying it was. In an instant, she appeared in front of Yi Chen, and Jiyu Qingxue struck out with her palm. In her palm, there was a water droplet shaped like a thunderball. Thunder and water profound martial art, water drop thunder. Looking at the void in front of him, Yi Chen's right shoulder moved slightly, and the Demon Slayer sword was pulled out, leaving a long and narrow trace in the air. Crack, Crack, crack. Blazing lightning and water splashed everywhere, and Jiyu Qingshue's figure was exposed by the reaction force. Sky absolute sword. In an instant, Yi Chen's counterattack came. The Demon Slayer sword vibrated at an astonishing frequency, slashing towards Jiyu Qingxue, and the sword light was blurry and slightly illusory. Hiss. Yi Chen slashed the air, and Jiyu Qingxue instantly moved away. There was no difference between the speed of moving and the speed of moving forward. They were both fast. The speed of moving from any angle is the same. Yi Chen did not continue to pursue, and stood at the same place. I said before, within my electric field, no one can attack me. Jiyu Qingshue's voice sounded. Indeed. Yi Chen did not have any intention of denying it. This is the reason why Green Lightning King is so frightening. On the second arena, Qi Hongyang sighed. But, Yi Chen continued, there is nothing absolute in this world, it just depends on whether someone can do it or not. Then give it a try. Jiyu Qingxue continued to attack Yi Chen, and any angle was the same to her. In other words, her attacks had no blind spots. However, Yi Chen was not an ordinary opponent. Although he could not attack Jiyu Qingxue could not attack him either. His sword speed was faster than Jiyu Qingshue's movement speed, and under his sword, Jiyu Qingxue could not gain the slightest advantage. The situation fell into a stalemate. Hiss. Suddenly, Jiyu Qingxue moved to the edge of the arena. In the next instant, a terrifying aura burst forth from Jiyu Qingxue. Her hair grew longer, and her pupils turned silver. Shortly after, the silver was dyed a faint gold. Selfless Heaven's Eye. In an instant, Jiyu Qingxue raised her Selfless Heaven's Eye to the second stage. Under the state of Selfless Heaven's Eye, all kinds of sensory abilities would explode, and one's speed would also increase significantly. If the first stage of Selfless Heaven's Eye was to stimulate one's potential, then the second stage of Selfless Heaven's Eye was to direct the majority of one's potential to the brain, leaving only a portion for the body. And the second stage of Selfless Heaven's Eye focused on speed, defense, and strength, which was the opposite of the Selfless Heaven's Eye, which focused on internal attributes. The faint golden eyes stared at Yi Chen, and Jiyu Qingxue saw a few lines and dots. These lines and dots were Yi Chen's flaws. No, to be more precise, they were flaws that were about to appear, as if he had seen through them in advance. For example, if a carriage was moving in front of him, if he rushed over at this moment, he would crash into the carriage. But the Selfless Heaven's Eye had already predicted the speed and angle of the carriage. As long as he rushed over at the right speed and angle, he would naturally not crash into the carriage. These flaws of Yi Chen weren't flaws now, but in a moment, they would become flaws. However, there are too few flaws. Jiyu Qingxue frowned slightly. The total number of lines and dots around him was actually only 9. In the past, her opponents would have so many flaws that she couldn't even count them all. Trying to see through my flaws. As if he could read minds, Yi Chen's body moved slightly. What? There are fewer flaws. Jiyu Qingshue's eyes narrowed. The number of lines and dots around Yi Chen decreased by 3, becoming 6. 4. 2. He disappeared. Jiyu Qingshue's eyes instantly narrowed into a dot. Her eyes were extremely cold and filled with disbelief. Who exactly is this person? Taking a deep breath, Jiyu Qingxue murmured in her heart. Yi Chen calmly smiled. I forgot to tell you, there are 13 lines and 27 dots on your body. Among them, there is a dot that appears and disappears. This should be related to your current mood. Chapter 1062. So what? It doesn't matter if I have any flaws, because you can't attack me. Jiyu Qingshue's emotions quickly calmed down, she remained unmoved. You still don't know? I've gradually gotten used to your speed, and seeing your flaws means that I can already attack you. Yi Chen thought. Hiss. Jiyu Qingxue turned into lightning and instantly disappeared. If you don't have any flaws, then I'll create one. Jiyu Qingshue's right palm contained a fist-sized water ball, crystal clear. Thunder and water profound martial art, hidden water thunder. Rumble. Like a mountain torrent, like thunder descending, like the destruction of heaven and earth, in front of Jiyu Qingxue was chaos, which was full of explosions and ripping air currents. Did Green Lightning King win? A thought flashed in Aokiji King's mind. Not yet. Chi Hongyan's eyes narrowed. Hiss. The mountain torrent split apart, the thunder dispersed, and the world became clear. Yi Chen stood in the center of the arena, looking straight at Jiyu Qingxue, who was half a meter above the ground. That pair of eyes contained countless traces, as if all of Jiyu Qingxue's secrets couldn't escape from his eyes, and were instantly analyzed. Not good. Jiyu Qingxue turned into lightning, and with a hiss, she flew away. There are more and more flaws in your defense. Her body moved a few steps, and the Demon Slayer sword drew a complete circle from bottom to top, in which the electric field was temporarily isolated. Poochie. A smear of blood splattered, and with a muffled groan, Jiyu Qingxue held her left arm and flashed dozens of li away. Traces of blood slid down the fingers of her right hand, and Jiyu Qingxue looked at Yi Chen in a daze. He was hit. Green Lightning King was hit. Really? To be hit at such a fast speed, this can't be done with sword speed alone. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Was it an accident, or, Jiyu Qingxue gritted her snow-white teeth, and once again attacked Yi Chen. Blood splattered, and a left arm flew out. Jiyu Qingxue's figure staggered back, as if due to the injury, her speed wasn't as fast as before. Swish 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 swish. Although Yi Chen's speed was not as fast as Jiyu Qingxue's, his footsteps were erratic and unpredictable, accompanied by his unparalleled sword speed. Clang. Sparks erupted from her chest as Jiyu Qingxue was flung backwards. She coughed out a mouthful of blood and bits of flesh. Because she was wearing a high-grade armor artifact, the sword attack failed to penetrate her heart. However, the terrifying sword force had penetrated through the armor and instantly shattered her heart. The heart was one of the most important parts of the human body. It was the source of qi and blood. Once it was lost, all aspects of one's body would be affected. Unless one could immediately form a new heart when the heart was destroyed, it was a pity that the human body had all kinds of senses. When the heart was destroyed, there would be some discomfort and sluggishness. My next strike will be your head. Once they entered a real battle, Yi Chen would not show any mercy. He believed that his opponent would not accept his opponent going easy on him. This was a form of humiliation. The sword slashed through the air, slicing open a gap in the electric field. A trace of blood appeared on Jiyu Qingxue's neck. That was the reaction of the sharp sword qi. It had cut through her skin first. This is the first time I, Jiyu Qingxue, am being looked down upon by someone. Electricity explosion. TSS 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 TSS. Jiyu Qingxue released a large amount of electricity, which reacted with Yi Chen's life magnetic field and directly penetrated his protective True Yuan, acting on Yi Chen's body. Boom. Electric snakes danced chaotically, lighting up the entire arena. Double hidden water thunder. That wasn't the end of it. Jiyu Qingxue condensed a fist-sized ball of lightning in each of her palms and blasted it towards the center of the explosion, which was also where Yi Chen was. What? He made a comeback in an instant. The situation has actually been reversed. The Green Lightning Monarch is the Green Lightning Monarch after all. Her thunder ultimacy has practically reached the pinnacle of perfection. Although that electric burst isn't very lethal against opponents of the same level, it can make them reveal a flaw and cause them to momentarily numb. Electric burst creates a flaw, and double hidden water thunder kills in one strike. Terrifying. Jiyu Qingxue's sudden eruption caught a lot of people off guard. Green Lightning Monarch, is this the result of your 3 years of hard work? Chi Hongyang sighed in shock. Jiyu Qingxue's eyes were extremely cold. This electric burst was originally prepared to deal with those few people, but now, she had no choice but to reveal it. The opponent's power was beyond her imagination. Using the opponent's life magnetic field as an electric field. What a good electric burst. The electricity dissipated. In the arena, Yi Chen had already finished waving his sword. In front of him were 4 hidden water thunders that had been cut open. Puff. The hidden water thunders that had lost their integrity shattered. But, this is what makes it interesting. Yi Chen raised his head. I've been seen through. A drop of cold sweat appeared on Jiyu Qingxue's forehead. Not really seen through, but this move of yours is indeed very powerful. I believe you still have a follow-up move. Being able to be ranked 4th on the Sky King list was not simple at all. She could be said to be a monster among monsters. A single profound might not be as powerful as a double profound, but it could be used to support attacks. Forget it, I've lost this round. Dispersing the electric field, Jiyu Qingxue had no intention to continue fighting. She turned and walked down the first arena. Jiyu Qingxue had a feeling that even if she used all her skills, the chance of winning against her opponent was less than 10%. From the beginning to the end, her opponent did not give her any opportunity to take advantage of. It was completely her own play. Rather than giving her all to lose the battle, it was better to digest the insights she gained from the battle. Although Jiyu Qingxue admitted defeat, no one dared to laugh at her. If they were replaced by Yi Chen, they might not even be able to block a single move from Jiyu Qingxue. If they were replaced by Jiyu Qingxue, they would probably be in an even more miserable state. From the beginning to the end, they did not see how Yi Chen attacked. They only saw streaks of sword marks flashing by. This battle of the strong was full of climaxes and thrills. It was undoubtedly an eye-opener for those who remained. After losing to Yi Chen, Jiyu Qingxue chose to challenge the 10th arena. The 10th arena was the battle of the White Tiger Starfield's Sky King list. The result was as expected. The opponent did not even manage to force Jiyu Qingxue into the Anatta state before she was defeated. In the end, only the dark-skinned young man was left. Hee. The dark-skinned young man laughed and appeared on the 8th arena. I'm really in danger this time. The black-feathered leopard king did not dare to underestimate the dark-skinned young man. Judging from his appearance and age, he knew that he must be a very terrifying expert. After all, with such a high cultivation talent, how weak could his combat strength be? The two seemed to be two different concepts, but there was an inevitable factor. The second move, Hadouken. Boom. On the 10th arena, the protective shield shook violently. The violent energy exploded like a small sun. The sound and light effects alone were frightening. What kind of joke is this? It's so powerful. Not only were the spectators dumbfounded, but the black-feathered leopard king was also completely dumbfounded. He definitely did not want to bear that kind of explosive power. In an instant, the black-feathered leopard king entered the demon beast realm. At this moment, speed was the only thing he could rely on. Everything else was useless. The third move, Hadouken, random kill. The dark-skinned young man kept glancing around. With his amazing eyesight, he waved his slender arm and hundreds of high-pressure light balls were shot out. There was no way the black-feathered leopard king could dodge them. He crossed his arms to protect his vital parts, and the demonic power protective shield in front of him was strengthened to the limit. Bang 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 bang, the sounds of explosions were continuous. The black-feathered leopard king crashed hard into the protective shield of the arena, unable to fight back. With a grin, the dark-skinned young man used the second move, Hadouken, and blasted the black-feathered leopard king into a mist of blood. Vaguely, the crowd could see a small part of the protective shield of the arena protruding. Each and every one of them is a monster. Aokiji King was a little disheartened. Originally, his ranking on the Heavenly King list was not low. He was ranked 13th, not far from the top 10, so he was confident that he could pass the test field of God. However, Yi Chen's appearance showed him the gap between them. The dark-skinned young man's appearance showed him what a monster was. Together with Jiyu Qingxue and Qi Hongyang, who had not shown much of her strength, there were 4 people. 4 monsters in one place. He no longer had any confidence in passing the test field of God. It's all right. I'm just here to take a look. Du Sha also did not think she had any hope. She smiled bitterly. Kid, you're very powerful, Qi Hongyang said to the dark-skinned young man while feeling annoyed. You're still far from me. The dark-skinned young man scratched his head like a teenager who had not seen the world for a long time. Cultivating hard in the mountains for several years, and then coming out to make a name for himself. This is the kind of person you are. Yi Chen could feel the pure heart of the dark-skinned young man, without any impurities. After passing the 4th test, everyone was teleported to a path. In front of the path was a huge square. At this time, there were already 10 people in the square. The arrival of Yi Chen's group of 10 attracted their attention. What a scary look. Among the 10 people, 2 of them had very scary looks. One was a swordsman, and the other was a bladesman. The swordsman wore a long black robe embroidered with an azure dragon. His eyes were full of coldness and majesty. The bladesman was Bai Lihuan, the soul-slaying blade of the Vermilion Birdstar region. His whole body was like a volcano, exuding endless courage. Seeing Yi Chen, Bai Lihuan nodded. The strong deserved respect. There was no doubt that Yi Chen was a strong man. Yi Chen also nodded. His eyes moved from Bai Lihuan to the black-robed swordsman with the azure dragon embroidered on his robe. Their eyes inevitably collided. He is the Azure Dragon swordsman of the Azure Dragon Star region, ranked 5th on the Heaven King list. On the side, Du Shuo explained to him. The Azure Dragon swordsman was the top swordsman of the younger generation in the 4 major star regions. The second was the flawless swordsman, Zhao Wook, ranked 11th on the Heaven King list. When they arrived at the square, everyone stopped. After a while, more people came. Chapter 1063. There were still 10 of them. Among them, the most eye-catching were the Black Destruction King Zhu Jian and the Violent Queen Yang Feihua. One of them was ranked 3rd on the Heavenly King ranking, while the other was ranked 8th on the Heavenly King ranking. Even though there was no aura leaking out, they still stood out among the 10 of them. Then, the 4th group arrived. Among them, there were 4 eye-catching people: Ghost Genius Lu Wanxiu, the blue-robed swordsman, a white-robed young man with a light body, and a black-robed young man with a body as sturdy as a tyrannosaurus. He was more than 3 meters tall and exuded endless pressure. The blue-robed swordsman is flawless swordsman Zhao Wook, ranked 11th on the Heavenly King list. His swordsmanship is flawless, and he comes from the White Tiger Star field. The white-robed young man is infernal illusionist Li Yifeng, ranked 6th on the Heavenly King list. His attainments in illusions are even greater than Ji Chongyue's. He comes from the Azure Dragon Star field. The black-robed young man is Yang Ting, ranked 2nd on the Heavenly King list. His true form is an iron-armored dragon, a true dragon with unparalleled strength. He can shatter a star with his most basic strength. He also comes from the Azure Dragon Star field. Du Shuo introduced to Yi Chen seriously. An iron-armored dragon. Yi Chen sized up Yang Ting carefully. Yang Ting sensed that someone was staring at him, so he glanced over. Pop! This one glance seemed to have pierced through the air as it shot toward Yi Chen. Hitting someone with a gaze sounded exaggerated, but it was indeed so. Du Shuo's face paled slightly. Although this gaze was not aimed at her, nor was it offensive, the mental pressure it brought was enormous. Du Shuo felt as if her soul was about to be knocked out. On the other hand, Yi Chen's expression did not change at all. It was as if this gaze was just a breeze that brushed past his face. Infernal illusionist Li Yifeng noticed this and the corner of his mouth curled up. Soon, the 5th group arrived. There were 3 eye-catching figures in the 5th batch, namely the lifeless swordsman Lung Feifen, the illusionist of death Ji Chengyu, and a handsome young man who looked to be about the same age as the dark-skinned young man, about 16 or 17 years old. This handsome young man walked at the forefront, naturally emitting the aura of a king. As soon as he appeared, he became the center of attention, like a king of kings. Lifeless blade artist Lung Feifen, ranked 7th on the Heavenly King list, the #1 blade artist of the 4 great life star fields. Hailing from the White Tiger star field, my impression of him is still stuck at a few years ago. At that time, he made a stunning appearance and shocked everyone. After a few years, I'm afraid he already has the battle power to enter the top 3. I won't talk about Ji Chengyu, but as for that handsome youngster, he's quite amazing. He's the #1 on the Heavenly King list, peerless King Arju. Arju entered the life and death realm at the age of 24. Du Shuo's voice lingered in his ear. Yi Chen nodded. With Du Shuo's introduction and his first impression of them, he had a basic understanding of these geniuses. Peerless King Arju, just like his title, was peerless under the heavens, the King of Kings. Tyrannosaurus Yang Ting, synonymous with power. Black Destruction King Ju Jian, brimming with a domineering aura. Green Lightning King Jiu Qingxue, coming and going like lightning, heart like frost. Azure Dragon Swordsman Xiao Shiyu, fierce and dignified. Illusionist Li Yifeng, dreamy and illusory. Lifeless Blade Artist Lung Feifan, cold and indifferent, unfathomable. Violent Queen Yang Feihua, cheerful and witty, full of mysteries. Platinum Witch Qi Hongyang, white-haired and tender, full of the essence of a witch. Soul Slasher Blade by Li Huan, volcanic courage. Flawless Sword Artist Zhao Wook, flawless and without flaws, aura unnoticeable. Ghost Genius Lu Wanxiu, cynical and full of schemes. Death Illusion Master Ji Chengyu, indifferent to everything. Dark-skinned youngster, pure and innocent. The above 14 were the strongest in Yi Chen's eyes. The others were a lot weaker than them. Du Shuo did not know what Yi Chen was thinking. If she did, she would say, "Forget yourself." In her eyes, Yi Chen was a stunning existence. She had never seen such a stunning swordsman. No, Yi Chen's appearance had redefined a swordsman for her. His sharp eyesight, calm and unruffled posture, unparalleled sword speed, untainted temperament, and ice-cold and merciless sword technique. This was a dreamlike swordsman. With the arrival of the fifth batch, the top geniuses of the 4 major lifestyle fields had all gathered together. If the geniuses of the world were flowers, then the flowers here were all precious species, competing with each other for beauty. Ordinary kings would definitely feel ashamed of their inferiority and dazzle here. In front of the plaza was a stone bridge, and at the end of the bridge was a large door. That was the entrance to the 5th stage. Everyone stepped onto the stone bridge and walked toward the door. Creak. The door opened automatically. Inside was an alley. Although it was called an alley, it was actually huge. This alley was 1,000 meters wide, and no one knew how long it was. One could not see the end of it. At the beginning of the alley, there was a wooden sign with the word speed written on it. On the left and right walls 1,000 li away from the starting point, there was a crystal ball. Although the 2nd stage also tested speed, strictly speaking, it was a test of willpower. Many who did not finish the race passed. As for the 5th stage, it was all about speed, nothing else. Speed is my strong point. The Speed Wolf King was the first to rush out. Kai. The air was torn apart, and the Speed Wolf King instantly surpassed the crystal ball. Instantly, the crystal ball on the right lit up with a green color. Next, everyone began to sprint. In the end, 48 people passed. It seemed that the speed test was not strict. It made sense. During the battle, there were many people who were slow. As long as their reactions were fast enough, they would be fine. After speed, it was defense. Defense was slightly more difficult than speed. 4 people were eliminated, leaving 44 people. Next should be strength, someone said. As expected, the 3rd stage of the 5th stage was the trial of strength. One only needed to ring the bell on the opposite side to pass. In battle, if one's speed and defense were a bit weaker, they would not necessarily lose. But if one's attack was also weak, it would undoubtedly be dangerous. Usually, attack was the most important. If one's attack was strong, they could break through the opponent's defense. They would not need to hit the opponent countless times and only cause a small wound. Therefore, the number of people eliminated in the trial of strength surpassed the previous 2 stages. A total of 13 people were eliminated. Du Shuo was also eliminated. There are only 31 people left. It is really strict. The God's trial field strictness made Yi Chen sigh inwardly. From the 1st stage to the 5th stage, the trial's content was all-encompassing. Not a single weakness was allowed. If there was even a single weakness, then one would be eliminated. After the trial of strength, there was still the 4th stage. This stage was the trial of reflexes. In a dangerous alley, there were hidden weapons shooting out everywhere. These hidden weapons were extremely fast. If one thought that they could rush through with speed alone, it was impossible. Along the way, they had to constantly dodge the hidden weapons, and sometimes they had to retreat. When the 4th stage ended, there were only 20 people left. I wonder what the 6th stage is. Someone couldn't help but ask. Are you stupid? All the stages have been passed. The sixth stage is naturally a test of absolute strength. The strong are respected. This principle has never changed. That's right. Although the previous stages of the divine trial field have not changed in essence, the form may change. But the final stage, whether it is in essence or form, will not change. As they spoke, the group walked out of the alley. In front of them was a vast grassland. On the grassland, there was a circular martial stage. The martial stage did not look very large, only 10 miles in diameter. It was covered by a transparent spherical barrier. Coming to the side of the martial stage, the group found a wooden sign. The wooden sign had the rules written on it. The general meaning of the rules was that when the trial talisman lit up, they had to go up and fight. If they won, they would receive 1 point. If they lost, they would receive no points. The top 10 in terms of points would have the right to enter the paradise of God. It's the ranking competition, Yi Chen said to himself. The ranking competition was the fairest competition. It was normal for martial artists to counteract each other. It would be a pity if they lost the right to enter the paradise of God just because they lost a match. Buzz. Outside the 4 golden gates of the God's trial field, there were many eliminated trial challengers gathered. Suddenly, a 3-dimensional image appeared between them. The image was of a circular martial stage. They could also see the 20 people beside the martial stage. Is it the last stage? There are only 20 people left. Participating in the divine trial field was the right decision. Although I didn't even pass the second stage, I can see the top geniuses fight. This trip was worth it. Yeah. Only 10 people can pass the divine trial field. The others are just there to serve as foils. But seeing the top geniuses fight is enough. Most people came to the divine trial field to see. More importantly, they could see the top geniuses of the 4 major starfields fight. Mr. Yi. Lan Xiana saw Yi Chen. I can't believe this guy made it to the end. Mr. Firebird's eyes widened. On the blue leaf, he knew that Yi Chen was powerful and that he couldn't compete with him. But he didn't expect Yi Chen to make it this far. This meant that his opponent was at least in the top 20 of the 4 major starfields. He was light years ahead of him. Good thing I didn't provoke him. Mr. Firebird slowly exhaled. On the prairie, 2 people's trial talismans lit up. They were the lifeless swordsman Lung Feifen and a young man in grey. The young man in grey was ranked 25th on the Heaven King list. People called him the Soulbreaker Spear, Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao was the same as Yi Chen and the tanned young man. He wasn't in the top 20 of the Heaven King list, but he had made it this far. He was strong enough. Unfortunately, his opponent was the lifeless swordsman Lung Feifen. He was defeated in 3 moves. Chapter 1064. The second pair was Qi Hongyang and the Speed Wolf King. Howl. The Speed Wolf King howled at the sky and turned into a werewolf. His legs were strong and elastic, and his claws were as sharp as razors. He could travel hundreds of thousands of miles in a single leap. The arena looked small, only 10 miles in diameter, but there was another dimension inside. It was probably more than 1,000,000 miles in diameter, and it was a vacuum environment, so the resistance was negligible. Whoosh, whoosh. Strands of platinum hair shot out and entangled the Speed Wolf King. At the same time, Qi Hongyang stepped on the arena and flew into the sky. Heaven and Earth star picking palm. She locked her eyes on the Speed Wolf King and clenched her right hand. Fart. The Speed Wolf King spat out a large amount of blood and flesh. He was shocked to find that his heart was broken, and his movements were slowed for a moment. 5 strands of whitish gold hair of unknown length wrapped around his neck and limbs, fixing him in the air with his arms and legs spread wide open. Then, Qi Hongyang slapped the Speed Wolf King 4 times in a row, turning him into a bloody mist. The Speed Wolf King, ranked 14th on the Sky King list, was defeated. Qi Hongyang's 3,000 platinum threads have become more powerful after a few years. The violent Queen Yang Feihua rubbed her chin, as if thinking of a way to deal with her. To deal with the 3,000 platinum threads, you must first defend against her heaven and earth heart picking palm. Otherwise, You can only passively take a beating. Of course, this is under the condition that you are evenly matched. The tanned young man smiled shyly. Yang Feihua asked, "Which style of your wave punch are you at?" "The 5th style." The tanned young man said. "You're at the 5th style already? No wonder your master asked you to come out." Yang Feihua nodded. Next up were Violent Dragon Yang Ting and Slasher by Lihuan. Violent Dragon Yang Ting was ranked 2nd on the Sky King list. He was a giant armored dragon, and was definitely a ferocious person. Although Slasher by Lihuan was also a powerful swordsman, there was still a huge gap between them. If Bai Lihuan was replaced by Lung Feifan, the lifeless swordsman, it might be more interesting. I didn't expect Bai Lihuan to meet Yang Ting so soon. I wonder how many moves he can take. Probably around 20 moves. It will be difficult. If he meets an opponent with other techniques, Bailey Hun might be able to hold on for a while longer. However, Yang Ting is not an ordinary person. In terms of defense and power, if he claims to be number 2, no one would dare to claim to be number 1. In terms of speed, he is at least in the top 5. Bailey Hun will probably lose in about 10 moves. Bailey Hun was a top-notch expert ranked 10th on the Heavenly King list. His battle with Yang Ting had not yet begun, but the scene was already quite heated. Everyone was discussing the characteristics of the two. Make your move. On the fighting ring, Yang Ting stood with his hands behind his back and looked at Bai Lihuan, who was in the distance. Clang. Bailey Hun didn't say anything. He slowly pulled out the snow-white broadsword that was as tall as a human and raised it high above his head. The broadsword momentum that was as majestic as a mountain and as fiery as magma was condensing and brewing. At the same time, he himself had also entered the 2nd stage of the selfless state, the selfless body. His pupils turned dark silver, and the horrifying aura was released for a moment. Mountain-breaking style. Suddenly, Bai Lihuan fiercely slashed out with his blade. The bright blade light filled the sky and the earth. It was tens of thousands of miles long, like a giant divine blade, and it directly slashed towards Yang Ting. "I'll give you 3 slashes." Yang Ting raised his left hand and grasped the sharp part of the bright blade light. Sea-splitting style. After the first slash, Bai Lihuan's second slash followed closely. This slash was continuous and relentless, as if it could split the entire sea. The second slash. Yang Ting stretched out his right hand and grasped the blade light. Roar. Bai Lihuan leaped up. At this moment, the broadsword momentum on his body had condensed to the limit. No one knew what secret method he had used, but the broadsword momentum on his body was clearly strong enough to tear the sky and the earth apart. However, it was restrained within 10 meters of his body. This caused a terrifying circle of broadsword momentum to appear around him. This circle of broadsword momentum was similar to a broadsword realm, but it was more destructive than a broadsword realm. Because the broadsword realm existed forever, the broadsword momentum would be unleashed along with the power of the broadsword. Burning broadsword style. Boom. The snow-white broadsword in Bai Lihuan's hand began to burn. The raging flames ignited the circle of broadsword momentum. Just as the circle of broadsword momentum was about to explode, Bai Lihuan swung out his most powerful slash. This slash burned the sky and broke the sea. This slash severed the soul. This slash tore everything in front of it apart. It would not stop until death. What a powerful slash. Outside the Golden Gate, many of the eliminated trial takers were dumbfounded. Although this saber strike was not aimed at them, no, it was not even in the same dimension as them, the pressure it brought them was not small at all. Many of the weaker ones could not help but take a few steps back, trying to avoid this saber strike. Finally, it's a little interesting. Yang Ting growled. Iron-black dragon scales appeared on his face and chest, and his eyes turned into cold, emotionless steel dragon eyes. Creak. The broadsword light in his left and right hands shattered. Yang Ting leaned forward, clenched his fists, and punched towards the blazing broadsword light that was coming at him. Clang. Like a giant broadsword cutting through a steel star, the ear-piercing sound waves penetrated everywhere. The 18 people outside could not help but bear the brunt of the sound waves. Their protective energy lit up one by one. It was already so terrifying outside, not to mention the inside. Yang Ting's entire body was on fire. The aftershock of the blazing broadsword light was very strong. Unless the whole thing was shattered, even if only a small part of it was left, it would still be blasted out by inertia. The broken broadsword light rubbed against the protective dragon energy on the surface of Yang Ting's body, igniting a raging fire. The temperature of this fire had already far exceeded the temperature of the sun's surface. It was probably tens or even hundreds of times hotter. Even Yang Ting's protective dragon energy could not completely isolate such a high temperature. Waves of flames appeared on the surface of his body. His skin was burning red like iron. "Break for me." Yang Ting's fists shook violently, and then suddenly separated. The remaining broadsword light was shattered into millions of pieces, turning into countless sparks that flew everywhere. It was brilliant. Standing in the center of the arena, the flames on Yang Ting's body gradually extinguished. He said word by word, "The burning blade technique is indeed powerful. Next, you will also take a punch from me." Boom. Without storing up much power, Yang Ting directly punched at Bailey Hun. The black fist energy was highly condensed, and the external momentum was not very strong. However, this was only the external. Bailey Hun, who had raised his broadsword to block, spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body was sent flying tens of thousands of miles away. The bones in his arms were about to break, and he could barely hold on to his broadsword. Taking a deep breath, Bailey Hun used his movement technique and circled around Yang Ting, not giving him a chance to attack directly. Yang Ting was like a violent dragon, punching out again and again. Among the 3 punches, at least one would graze Bailey Hun. Among the 5 punches, Bailey Hun had to take one of them head-on. Very soon, Bailey Hun could not hold on anymore. Be it speed, defense, or power, he was much weaker than Yang Ting. The 11th move, Bailey Hun was defeated. Violent dragon Yang Ting is still so strong. The only ones who can compete with Yang Ting in terms of strength are probably the peerless King Arju and the Black Destruction King Ju Jian. What was strength? It was using absolute power to suppress the opponent. Seriously speaking, apart from the first 3 strikes, this battle was not very exciting. This was because towards the end, Yang Ting had already controlled the entire situation. Next, 2 more battles took place. They were Yang Feihua against Aokiji Wang, and Azure Dragon swordsman Xiao Shiyu against Ghost Hand Luo Ming, who was ranked 28th on the Heavenly King list. Among the 20 people, 15 were in the top 20 on the Heavenly King list. The remaining 5 were the dark-skinned youth, Yi Chen, Soulbreaker Spear Jiang Hao, who was ranked 25th, Ghost Hand Luo Ming, who was ranked 28th, and Divine Wind Kick Ouyang Taiying, who was ranked 30th. Aokiji Wang was ranked 13th and had fought with Yi Chen in the 4th round. This time, facing Yang Feihua, who had the title of Violent Queen, he lost miserably. Ghost Hand Luo Ming was considered very powerful to be able to fight his way into the top 20. Unfortunately, there was still an unbridgeable gap between geniuses. He and Azure Dragon swordsman Xiao Shiyu were not on the same level at all, so he lost cleanly. It was Yi Chen's turn in the 5th battle. His opponent was Ghost Genius Lu Wenxiu. Ghost Genius Lu Wenxiu was recognized as one of the top 3 geniuses in the 4 major lifestar areas. Some people said that if he had a little fighting spirit, it would not be a problem for him to be in the top 10. Ghost Genius Lu Wenxiu, I wonder what his ranking will be this time? Yang Feihua, who had just exercised, said with a smile. The God's test field opens once every 10 years. This time, he should have a little fighting spirit. I think this swordsman is most likely not Lu Wenxiu's opponent, unless Lu Wenxiu goes easy on him. Strange Speed Wolf King did not have much hope for the top 10. Being able to watch the battle live was also a kind of enjoyment for him. Lu Wenxiu will lose. Jiyu Qingxue said. Lu Wenxiu will lose. He is one of the top 3 geniuses. Although he is frivolous, his talent is there. Plus, this time is different from the past. Strange Speed Wolf King looked at Jiyu Qingxue in surprise. There were 3 widely recognized geniuses in the 4 major lifestar areas: Unparalleled King Arju, Lifeless Swordsman Lung Feifen, and Ghost Genius Lu Wenxiu. There was a word to describe each of them. Unparalleled Arju. Thoroughly tempered Lung Feifen. The talented Lu Wenxiu. Jiyu Qingxue said, I lost to him. What? Everyone looked at Jiyu Qingxue. They did not communicate much, so they did not know that Jiyu Qingxue had lost to Yi Chen. They only thought that they had not fought. At this time, Qi Hongyang also said, this person's strength is beyond my imagination. The only thing I can describe is that he is very strong, absolutely strong. If I were to fight him, my chance of winning would be less than 10%, maybe even less. The power that Yi Chen had displayed was not enough for Qi Hongyang to say that. But for some reason, when facing Yi Chen, Qi Hongyang could not help but feel a chill down her spine. Yi Chen was so calm, as if he would not even blink even if the sky fell down. It was very rare. Jiyu Qingxue was already very powerful, but when facing Yi Chen, she did not even have the slightest advantage. Even Qi Hongyang said so. Many people looked at each other. He is one of my opponents. After a moment of silence, a voice sounded. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. It was lifeless swordsman Lung Feifen. Chapter 1065. Hearing this, flawless swordsman Zhao Wuke slightly frowned. After his battle with Lung Feifen had told him to be careful of a swordsman in blue. Could it be him? Lung Feifen said that, so he must not be an ordinary person. Let's wait and see. Yang Feihua smiled. Right, it's useless to speculate before the battle starts. The Speed Wolf King nodded. They had thought that Lu Wenxiu would definitely win, but because of the words of Jiyu Qingxue, Qi Hongyang, and Lung Feifen, the battle became complicated. They knew Lu Wenxiu's talent very well, so they didn't think that the three of them would lie to them. Outside the Golden Gate, Lan Xiana looked worried. She heard all kinds of discussions, but it was obvious that they were supporting Lu Wenxiu. After all, they didn't know much about Yi Chen. Mr. Yi, you must win. On the arena. Lu Wenxiu's cynical eyes gradually became serious. He was cynical and couldn't bring himself to fight for things he wasn't interested in, but it didn't mean that he had no vision. From the second round, he knew that Yi Chen wasn't an ordinary swordsman. He was as dangerous as the top 5 on the Sky King list. If he didn't go all out, he would lose miserably. I am Lu Wenxiu. Out of respect for Yi Chen, Lu Wenxiu told him his name. Yi Chen. Yi Chen nodded slightly. I know you are very strong, but in this ranking battle, there is something that I insist on. Therefore, I will give it my all, and bring out 120% of my strength. Lu Wenxiu said word by word. I hope so. Yi Chen also wanted to know how talented Lu Wenxiu was as one of the 3 geniuses of the 4 major lifestar areas. Lu Wenxiu had a slim body, with long hair and clothes fluttering in the wind. Whoosh! An extremely terrifying aura burst out from his body, but in the blink of an eye, it was restrained. Lu Wenxiu's long hair grew longer, and his pupils turned pale gold. Selfless heavenly eye realm. Ghost genius Lu Wenxiu is indeed powerful. The speed of his selfless realm is too fast. The audience exclaimed. On the other hand, Yi Chen didn't change at all. This Yi Chen is too arrogant. Lu Wenxiu respected him and immediately entered the selfless Heaven's Eye realm, but he didn't react at all. The eccentric Speed Wolf King didn't know that Yi Chen couldn't enter the Anatta state. It thought that Yi Chen was too arrogant and didn't take Lu Wenxiu seriously. Although the others did not say anything, a few of them could not help but frown. Lu Wenxiu, who had entered the selfless Heavenly Eye realm, immediately noticed that the flaws on Yi Chen's body were pitifully few, and they were constantly disappearing. Without any hesitation, Lu Wenxiu took the initiative to attack Yi Chen. Lu Wenxiu's movement technique was incomparably marvelous. Every time he moved, an afterimage would appear. As he moved for dozens of li, there were hundreds of afterimages, like a soft, long line. Lu Wenxiu, who was at the front, chopped at Yi Chen with a palm blade. The palm blade was illusory and came and went like the wind, giving people the feeling of a gust of wind brushing past their faces. It's here. It's one of Lu Wenxiu's 4 ultimate skills, Wind Shadow Chop. Someone couldn't help but shout. Wind Shadow Chop, There should be something special about it, right? An ultimate skill that could make the spectators applaud was definitely not ordinary. Clang, the demon slaughtering sword was unsheathed. Yi Chen's sword met the attack, and the sword light was like cold lightning. Bang! The palm and sword collided. Yi Chen didn't move at all, but Lu Wenxiu was sent flying. Something's wrong, the strength isn't that strong. Yi Chen frowned. Lu Wenxiu's palm blade might be very sharp and fast to those eliminated elite geniuses, but who didn't have a few tricks up their sleeves? This palm blade, other than being a little fast and having a slightly erratic trajectory, didn't have anything special about it. However, it contained a layer of soft force. The terror of the wind shadow chop has just begun. Zhao Wuke had experienced this move before, so he knew how terrifying it was. Hua! Lu Wenxiu, who was sent flying, turned around like a whirlwind, and once again attacked Yi Chen. So that's how it is. The attack power has increased by quite a bit. Yi Chen once again sent Lu Wenxiu flying. Peng 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 peng. The two exchanged more than 100 moves in an instant. Unknowingly, Lu Wenxiu's phantoms had multiplied by several times. The entire center of the martial stage was filled with his phantoms, and with a rough estimate, there were at least several thousand of them. These phantoms weren't inanimate objects, but were like the wind, sweeping everywhere. If one had to describe them, they could be described as the basic components of the wind, and the several thousand phantoms had converged into a horrifying phantom tornado. The more phantoms there were, the stronger Lu Wenxiu's attack power seemed to be. It seemed to be endless and unceasingly stacking up. Watch out! Wind shadow chain chop! Lu Wenxiu's voice was heard. At the same time, rows of Lu Wenxiu's phantoms attacked Yi Chen like a queue. As soon as the first row finished its attack, the second row of Lu Wenxiu's followed. These phantoms were hard to distinguish, and each of them had a powerful attack power. If one chose to ignore them, then no matter how strong Yi Chen's protective Jin Yuan was, it would still be broken. More importantly, Lu Wenxiu's real body was hidden in the phantoms, and with a slight carelessness, he would definitely suffer a fatal attack. To be able to use the wind profound and water profound to such a degree, you are indeed worthy of being one of the top 3 geniuses. How could Yi Chen not see that the wind shadow chop was a unique skill that combined movement and attack power? The wind made it faster, and the water made the phantoms more condensed, making them harder to break down. Moreover, it contained layers upon layers of soft energy, which could dissolve most attacks. If one didn't have absolute power, or didn't have a way to deal with it, then they would be crushed to death by the phantoms. Autumn water profound, 1,000 years shatter. Top-rank profound martial skills were broad and profound. Although the autumn water sword art contained the perfect metal profound and water profound, it was actually very rough. On the basis of the autumn water sword art, Yi Chen had already developed an even stronger move. As the sword was waved out, the void was like a lake being blown by the wind, creating countless ripples. The moonlight in the lake was shattered into millions of pieces along with the ripples. At that moment, Lu Wenxiu had a dreamy feeling of being in the water. Not good. Lu Wenxiu didn't have time to attack Yi Chen anymore, and hurriedly retreated, escaping from the phantoms. PFFF 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 PFFF. Thousands of phantoms disappeared. Those broken moonlight were extremely condensed and soft sword chi. The sword chi swam around, and Lu Wenxiu's phantoms couldn't stop it at all. The ripples in the lake and the broken moonlight spread at an extremely fast speed, and Lu Wenxiu was affected by the sword aura of the autumn water sword art. His speed had decreased by a lot, and he had only retreated for 10 miles before he was caught up. Bronze wall, iron wall. Lu Wenxiu's hands drew a half circle in front of him, and a dark gold cover covered him. Clank, clank. The broken moonlight hit on the dark gold cover, creating a continuous metal clashing sound. It's the second of the 4 supreme martial skills, bronze wall, iron wall. The one who spoke was by Li Hun. Lu Wenxiu's 4 supreme martial skills were all top-rank profound martial skills. The wind shadow chop focused on movement, and the bronze wall, iron wall focused on defense, containing the perfect earth profound and metal profound. This supreme martial skill was so powerful that even by Li Hun's burning blade art couldn't break through it. Another top-rank profound martial skill? A cold glint flickered in Yi Chen's eyes. The demon-slaughtering sword was raised high above his head, emitting a blazing green flame. After a brief moment of preparation, Yi Chen slashed down at Lu Wanxiu. Merciless water and fire. Catcher. The indestructible dark gold cover was split in half, and Lu Wanxiu was sent flying back, spurting out a mouthful of blood. On his chest, there was a clear green sword mark that flickered for a split second. The boundless sword force nearly tore him in half through the armor. This sword move's killing power was terrifying to the extreme. What? The crowd was shocked. Lu Wanxiu's bronze iron wall was broken in a split second. What kind of sword move was this? It was too powerful. The spectators and the eliminated participants outside the Golden Gate held their breaths in rapt attention. At this moment, Yi Chen's terrifying strength was on full display. Even Lu Wanxiu, who was going all out, wasn't his opponent. This time, Lu Wanxiu is really in danger. Who would have thought that a peak expert would appear in my Black Tortoise Galaxy, and the Vermilion Bird Galaxy would also have one? Yang Feihua lamented. Zhao Wu's eyes narrowed. As a fellow swordsman, other than the unimaginable pressure that Yi Chen brought him, it also gave him endless motivation. Tilting his head, Zhao Wu looked at Lung Feifen and Xiao Shiyu. Of these two people, one was a blade user, the other a swordsman. Both were opponents that he strived to defeat. Lung Feifen crossed his arms over his chest, his expression unchanged, but his pupils were deep and unfathomable. At Xiao Shiyu's waist were two swords, a long sword and a short sword. The long sword was thin, while the short sword was thick. The way he looked at Yi Chen was filled with fighting spirit. Although it wasn't obvious, Zhao Wu could feel it. Xiao Shiyu, even you're tempted to fight. On the stage, Yi Chen inwardly shook his head, inwardly shaking his head. Merciless water and fire was one of his ultimate sword moves, and its power was not limited to this. In this attack, he only used 30% of his strength. During the sword forging process, he had already raised his fire profound to perfection. In other words, the merciless water and fire profound, which contained the perfection of water profound and fire profound, were not just a little bit stronger, but several times stronger. Previously, merciless water and fire was already stronger than ordinary top-rank profound martial skills. Now, it was several times, or even 10 times stronger than ordinary top-rank profound martial skills. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that he had split the opponent's dark golden cover with one sword. Am I going to lose like this? Lu Wanxiu, who had been sent flying far away, closed his eyes, and a thought flashed through his mind. No. Lu Wanxiu opened his eyes, which were filled with an indescribable fighting spirit. In the past, it was difficult for him to raise his fighting spirit, because he couldn't be obsessed with winning. Others could get stronger as they fought, but he relied on cultivation to strengthen himself. However, it was different this time. This time, he had already made up his mind to successfully pass the god's test field. If he missed this chance, he didn't know when he would get another chance. Lu Wenjie, wait for me in the god's paradise. Roaring in his heart, Lu Wanxiu forcefully stopped his retreat, and stood firmly on the stage. His pupils became deeper, and the pale gold color gradually turned into a deep gold color. His hair grew longer, reaching his thighs, and his expression had an unprecedented change. It was a burning fighting spirit and fighting spirit. The real Lu Wanxiu has awakened. The one who spoke was peerless King Arju. Chapter 1066. Ji Chengyu kept a long distance from the spectators. Others were only a few hundred meters away from each other, but he was about 2 miles away from the nearest one. Looking at Lu Wanxiu on the stage, Ji Chengyue's mouth curled up. He and Lu Wanxiu grew up together, so no one knew him better than he did. It had been almost 10 years since he last saw Lu Wanxiu at this moment. His temperament has changed. In Yi Chen's eyes, Lu Wanxiu used to be a lazy leopard. Even when he became a little more serious, he did not completely abandon this temperament. But now, Lu Wanxiu gave people the feeling that he was a fierce leopard that had not eaten for 3 days and 3 nights. If he did not eat, he would starve to death. Being forced into a desperate situation, His temperament was full of sharpness and ferocity. Laziness and cynicism had completely disappeared from him. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. There were no phantoms. Lu Wanxiu's movement speed had reached an astonishing level. With a flash, he was hundreds of thousands of miles away. Of course, the distance between him and Yi Chen was not hundreds of thousands of miles. Therefore, in the blink of an eye, he made hundreds of attacks. When he missed, he immediately retreated and attacked again. Ding, 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 ding. Yi Chen looked calm. The Demon Slayer sword in his hand was extremely fast. No matter which angle or direction Lu Wanxiu attacked from, he would block it. Lu Wanxiu's speed is so fast, much faster than before. Someone said. Yes, the higher the realm of the selfless heavenly eye, the faster the speed of perception and movement. In the selfless heavenly eye realm, there are at most 3 people who can match or surpass him. However, don't you guys feel that the swordsman named Yi Chen's sword speed is getting faster and faster? Before, I could still see the trajectory. Now, I can't even see the trajectory. It seems like he can reach his destination with one swing of his sword. Yeah, I wonder when such a terrifying swordsman appeared in the Vermilion Birdstar region. I don't think he's a genius from some planet with life. Instead, he came from some remote world with life. Otherwise, with his sword skills, how could he not have any reputation? The human clan and the demon clan were irreconcilable with the demons and other evil clans. It was either you die or I live. The planets with life were the base of the human clan and the demon clan in the universe, and the living worlds were their root. One day, if the demons and other evil clans were strong enough to defeat them, they could hide in the living worlds and come out again after accumulating enough power. In fact, it was not that the human clan and the demon clan had never been defeated in the past, but with the existence of the living worlds, it was almost impossible for them to be completely eliminated. There were dozens of inhabited worlds around the 4 major lifestar areas. Some were far away, and some were close. Lu Wanxiu's body soared high into the air, her right hand grabbing at Yi Chen. Whoosh! As the flames burned, a giant hand of lava thousands of miles wide appeared out of thin air, wrapping around the space where Yi Chen was. It rapidly tightened and contracted. The third of the 4 supreme skills, Fire God's Hand. It was not over yet. As soon as the Fire God's Hand was performed, Lu Wanxiu's left hand suddenly stretched out. Her palm shone with dazzling starlight. The starlight was dark and condensed in her palm. A terrifying gravitational force instantly acted on Yi Chen's body. The 4th of the 4 supreme skills, Star Trapping Hand. The 4 supreme skills were all top-rank profound sense martial arts, each more powerful than the previous one. This was the brilliant ghost genius Lu Wanxiu. 6 complete profound senses are indeed powerful. Surrounded by the lava hand, Yi Chen stood there with the demon slaughtering sword in his hand. Of Lu Wanxiu's 4 supreme skills, the Wind Shadow Chop contained the complete Wind Profound and Water Profound, the Indestructible Wall contained the complete Metal Profound and Earth Profound, the Fire God's Hand contained the complete Fire Profound and Earth Profound, and the Star Trapping Hand contained the complete Starlight Profound. Altogether, there were 6 complete profounds: wind, water, metal, earth, fire, and starlight. For ordinary geniuses at this age, it was already not bad to comprehend 2 profounds to completion. Those who could comprehend 3 complete profounds would be considered outstanding. As for 6 complete profounds, no one could surpass them. Although Yi Chen was not even 40 years old, which was a little younger than his opponent, he did not dare to say that he could comprehend 6 profounds to completion at his opponent's age. However, he was somewhat confident in comprehending 5 profounds. Having multiple profounds to completion would bring about a huge effect. The combination of 2 would allow one to create many top-rank profound sense martial arts. After all, there were many types of profound sense martial arts. They were divided into defensive martial arts, offensive martial arts, movement martial arts, and so on. Some profounds amplified the attack more, while others amplified the defense more. If one only had 1 or 2 profounds to completion, creating a top-rank profound sense martial art would be limited. However, it did not mean that the more profound sense martial arts one had, the more powerful they would be. In this universe where only the strong were respected, strength was everything. As for what one used to amplify one's strength, no one would care. The demon-slaughtering sword burned fiercely. The dark green flame condensed into a huge heaven sword. Raising the heaven sword up high, Yi Chen slashed at Lu Wenxiu in the sky. As for the lava hand and the majestic gravitational force, they were completely ignored by him because these obstructions would be crushed under his sword. Whoosh! A dark green sword scar illuminated the entire stage. Lu Wenxiu's left arm had disappeared without a trace. At the crucial moment, he had used his exceptional reaction and dodging speed to avoid being hit in a vital spot. However, this sword was simply too fast. Distance was no longer able to restrict it. Lu Wenxiu slid on the ground for several hundred li. His eyes were hidden in the shadow of the flowing sea. The lava hand's encirclement speed is still too slow for him. Although my star-trapping hand created a huge gravitational force and reduced his body's reaction speed, he only needs one sword to break through everything. Sword techniques containing water and fire profounds are indeed powerful. It is not something ordinary top-rank profound sense sword techniques can compare to. However, he most likely didn't notice that a flaw had appeared on his body. The moment he attacked was also the moment when he revealed his flaw. Lu Wenxiu's eyes flashed with an intense fighting spirit. His missing left arm grew back. Hua, a row of phantoms appeared, followed by another row. The densely packed phantoms separated and attacked Yi Chen from all directions, like swallows returning to their nest. Is it the wind shadow chop again? This move seems to be useless against Yi Chen. His opponent's dreamy and gorgeous sword move has a terrifying area of effect. Maybe Lu Wenxiu has some plans? Everyone was puzzled by Lu Wenxiu's actions. Just as everyone expected, the wind shadow chop was indeed useless against Yi Chen. However, Lu Wenxiu's goal had been achieved. A flaw has appeared. 9-star alignment. The instant Yi Chen executed the autumn water profoundness, 1,000 years shattering, Lu Wenxiu locked onto that fleeting flaw. A string of starlight condensed into star beads and shot out in an absolute straight line. The star beads collided with each other, and the star bead at the front had its speed increase to light speed. If it was a light speed attack from the front, there would definitely be many people who could block it. However, if it was a light speed attack aimed at a flaw, there would basically be no one who could block it. What was a flaw? It was the weak spots or blind spots of the person being attacked. For example, an ordinary person would have flaws everywhere. If someone attacked him from the back, he would definitely not be able to react in time and would immediately be knocked down by a punch. Even if he managed to react in time, he wouldn't be able to block it in time and could only try his best to dodge. The back was the greatest flaw of an ordinary person. The person attacking him could completely attack continuously until the other party collapsed. After all, it would take time to turn around. Yi Chen also had flaws. Everyone had flaws. The instant Yi Chen executed his ultimate move would be the instant he revealed his flaw. If he wanted to make the flaw disappear, he would also need time. Of course, flaws were meaningful to those who were fast enough. If an old man who could barely walk attacked someone from the back, the attack would most likely be dodged. He could see this flaw, but he couldn't hit it, so it was meaningless. However, Lu Wenxiu's 9-star alignment had already reached light speed. It would be extremely difficult to block or dodge it. This should be the 5th ultimate move. Yi Chen admitted that he had been careless. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't be able to block or dodge the opponent's 9-star alignment. He wouldn't have enough time. Buzz! A mighty sword momentum erupted from Yi Chen's body, and the space froze for a moment. At the next moment, Yi Chen split the star bead with his sword. The flaw attack that Lu Wenxiu had carefully prepared was immediately disintegrated. Impossible! Lu Wenxiu's eyes froze. In his judgment, Yi Chen should be able to react, but he definitely wouldn't be able to block or dodge it. However, how did Yi Chen manage to split the star bead with his sword? Lu Wenxiu is going to lose. This swordsman named Yi Chen is way too powerful. Even under such circumstances, he was able to break Lu Wenxiu's killer move. Yes, although I don't quite understand it, I can feel that Lu Wenxiu is very confident in that move. The move that Lu Wenxiu is so confident in must be a killer move that surpasses the previous 4 ultimate moves. It wouldn't be too much to describe it as Lu Wenxiu's 5th ultimate move. However, it still failed. That's enough to show how terrifying his opponent is. The onlookers were in a heated discussion. Yang Feihua frowned. Few people on the Heavenly King list could compare to her eyesight. She could clearly see that Lu Wenxiu had indeed locked onto Yi Chen's floor. However, she didn't understand why her attack was ineffective. She felt that something was missing at that moment. Is it because the space is still? Among the crowd, only King Arju seemed to be deep in thought. It's my turn to attack now. So far, Yi Chen had not walked out of the 10-meter range. He had been blocking or counterattacking on the spot. Everyone was shocked to realize that. Swoosh! Under the shroud of the sword domain, Yi Chen's speed soared to the limit as he flashed towards Lu Wenxiu. In his eyes, there was a diagonal line and 3 dots on Lu Wenxiu's body, which were her flaws. Although the 4 flaws were constantly changing positions according to Lu Wenxiu's movements, they would not disappear. Star-trapping hand. Lu Wenxiu extended her left hand, and a terrifying gravitational force was about to affect Yi Chen. Swish! Yi Chen's figure was erratic, avoiding the binding of the gravitational force. But, when he was less than a mile away from his opponent, Yi Chen quickly slashed out with his sword. Clang! Facing Yi Chen's frontal attack, Lu Wenxiu would not be caught off guard. Everyone had flaws, but it did not mean that one would be able to find them and attack them. Lu Wenxiu would be able to change the position of the floor at the critical moment. He crossed his arms, and a dark gold light appeared in front of him. It was a simplified version of the iron wall. However, that sword attack of Yi Chen's contained a powerful sword power, and Lu Wenxiu's whole body was blown away. Sword steps. It had been a long time since Yi Chen used sword steps. With a step forward, sword light filled the air, and Yi Chen appeared behind Lu Wenxiu. I've lost. Lu Wenxiu's head flew high, and blood spurted out. Chapter 1067. Ghost Genius Lu Wenxiu had lost, which was unexpected, but also reasonable. The strength that Yi Chen had displayed was not something that could be countered with just a little bit of effort. It could only be said that Lu Wenxiu had woken up too late. If he could maintain this fighting spirit, his current strength would not be like this, it could even be several times stronger. Although Lu Wenxiu's defeat made many sigh, everyone's attention quickly shifted away from him. He was not the only big shot here, almost everyone was the star of the show. The next battle was between the Tanned Youth and the Black Destruction King, Zhu Jian, who was ranked 3rd on the Sky King list. The Tanned Youth came from the Black Tortoise Galaxy, and his name was Xie Xiaoshan. Just like Yi Chen, he had appeared out of nowhere, and no one had heard of his name before. This battle was fierce and violent. The Black Destruction King, Zhu Jian, was ranked 2nd only to the Tyrannosaurus dragon Yang Ting on the Sky King list. His speed, defense, and strength had reached an astonishing level, and he had no weaknesses. His control over his strength was also exceptional, and he could already use the 4 stacks at will. Every punch and kick contained terrifying destructive power. Originally, everyone thought that the battle would be over quickly, and that Zhu Jian, the king of black destruction, would be able to finish off Xie Xiaoshan easily. However, to everyone's surprise, Xie Xiaoshan's madness was not any weaker than Zhu Jian's. No, to a certain extent, he was even crazier and wilder than Zhu Jian. His oscillating fist was simply a killing machine that could destroy everything. No matter what technique you used, I will break it with 1 punch. If 1 punch could not break it, then 2 punches, 3 punches, 100 punches, 1,000 punches. In a head-on clash, Zhu Jian not only could not do anything to Xie Xiaoshan, but he also retreated step by step, his face pale. Meteor Rupturing Fist. Zhu Jian roared, and attacked with his strongest fist art, Meteor Rupturing Fist. The Meteor Rupturing Fist was a top-rank body-refining martial art that Zhu Jian had created in the past few years. This body-refining martial art had absorbed the essence of other body-refining martial arts. More importantly, This body-refining martial art had unexpectedly integrated 2 stacks of power. As everyone knew, multiple stacks of power and attack martial arts were very difficult to integrate. Once multiple stacks of power were integrated, the martial art's own system would be destroyed, and its power would be greatly reduced. It would be better not to integrate it. Zhu Jian had no way to integrate 4 stacks of power, but he had already integrated 2 stacks of power. Although it was not very perfect, and the degree of overlap between 2 stacks of power was not very high, it was enough. With this punch, Zhu Jian had completely shattered a star with a diameter of tens of thousands of miles, turning it into billions of pieces, and the star itself did not explode. Boom! This punch was like a hot knife through butter, and it directly hit the skinny Xie Xiaoshan. Xie Xiaoshan, let me see your 5th style, Hadouken. Yang Feihua knew Xie Xiaoshan, so she knew his Hadouken very well. Xie Xiaoshan's expression became ferocious, and his killing intent was revealed. It was hard to imagine the current him and the previous him as the same person. The difference was too great. 5th movement, killing intent Fis. Xie Xiaoshan also roared, and threw out a punch. Hiss. The spectators sucked in a breath of cold air. Just by looking at this punch, they felt as if their souls were about to be shattered. Yi Chen frowned. This fist art was too dangerous. Once the punch was thrown, all of the user's spirit, chi, and soul would be involuntarily poured into the fist energy, and as the fist energy continued to collapse, it was also mixed with unimaginable killing intent. It could be said that this fist art contained many different attacking systems, but at the same time, a slight mistake would cause great harm, not only to the enemy, but also to the user. This fist art was a true evil fist art. Boom! Like an earthquake, stars fell from the sky, and Xie Xiaoshan and Zhu Jian were both blown away. The difference was that Xie Xiaoshan quickly landed on the stage, and after a slight shake, a stream of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth, while Zhu Jian fiercely hit the protective shield of the stage. His body was full of wounds. Xie Xiaoshan won. Zhu Jian lost. I can't believe that the Dark Destruction King Zhu Jian lost. This Xie Xiaoshan is really scary. The audience was shocked and surprised by this result. Green Lightning King Jiyu Qingxue against flawless swordsman Zhao Wuke. Jiyu Qingxue won. Zhao Wuke's sword art did not pose much of a threat to Jiyu Qingxue, and he paid a huge price for the minor injuries. Seamless illusionist Li Yifeng against wind kick Oyu Yangying. Li Yifeng won. Oyu Yangying was undoubtedly pitiful. In the end, he did not even know how he lost, because he fainted, and his mind was trapped in an illusion, unable to extricate himself. Peerless King Arju against Death Illusionist Ji Chengyu. Arju won. Arju was called Peerless King, just like his title, unparalleled in the world. Ji Chengyue's illusions basically had no effect on him. He was an undefeatable person, or else he would not be ranked first on the Sky King list. Soon, the first round was over. The second round began. In this round, Yi Chen's opponent was Soul Slasher Bai Lihuan. Undoubtedly, Bai Lihuan's saber art was domineering and bold. Judging from his temperament, he and Lung Feifen were 2 completely different types. Lung Feifen was reserved and calm, giving people a feeling that he was unpredictable. His battles had always been cold and decisive, while Bai Lihuan's temperament was scorching. Standing there, he was like a burning volcano that was about to erupt. His saber art had inherited this characteristic. However, his opponent was Yi Chen. Facing Yi Chen, courage alone was not enough. Therefore, Bai Lihuan and Lu Wenxiu were both defeated by Yi Chen, and he was convinced of his defeat. There were 10 battles in this round. The battle between Yi Chen and Bai Lihuan was the 7th. These 7 battles didn't cause too much of a stir, which was within everyone's expectations. However, the 8th battle had a change. Lifeless swordsman Lung Feifen versus Azure Dragon swordsman Xiao Shiyu. As one of the top 3 geniuses, Lung Feifen's strength was unfathomable. Apart from Peerless King Arju, it was not surprising that he could defeat anyone else. However, Azure Dragon swordsman Xiao Shiyu was not easy to deal with. His Azure Dragon sword art was known as the most powerful sword art. In the eyes of the audience, his strength was terrifying. A swordsman and a swordsman. It was a battle between the strong. In the end, it was Lung Feifen who had the last laugh. Just as the rumors said, Lung Feifen would most likely rank in the top 3, or even second. As for the first place, it would depend on whether Lung Feifen was strong enough to challenge peerless King Arju. After all, Arju was known as the top genius of the 4 major lifestar fields. In the third round, Yi Chen defeated Zhao Wuke. Facing Zhao Wuke's flawless sword art, Yi Chen's sword art was even more unfathomable. In terms of the ability to see through flaws, Zhao Wuke was far behind. No matter how one looked at it, the two were not on the same level. In the fourth round, Yi Chen vs. Ghost Hand Luo Ming. Luo Ming forfeited. In the fifth round, Yi Chen's opponent was Aokiji King. Aokiji King forfeited. In the sixth round, Qi Hongyang forfeited. In the seventh round, Monster Speed Wolf King forfeited. In the eighth round, Jiyu Qingxue forfeited. In the eighth round, Yi Chen won all of them. Apart from the first 3 rounds, Yi Chen's opponents forfeited in the last 5 rounds. They might have already lost to Yi Chen, or they might have known that the gap between them was too big. Anyway, in the eyes of the audience, Yi Chen was already in the top 7. Without enough strength, it was better to save time. In the ninth round, Yi Chen encountered a strong opponent. His opponent was Azure Dragon swordsman Xiao Shiyu. Both of them were swordsmen. Whoever won would be the number 1 swordsman in the 4 major vital starfields. Of course, in terms of battle record, Yi Chen was undoubtedly better. So far, Yi Chen had not lost a single battle, while Xiao Shiyu had lost 3 times. Once to Lung Feifen, once to Violent Dragon Yang Ting, and once to Peerless King Arju. However, it could not be said that Xiao Shiyu was weak. It could only be said that his opponents were too strong. Lifeless Bladesman Lung Feifen, Violent Dragon Yang Ting, and Peerless King Arju were the most popular figures this time. All of them had been encountered by Xiao Shiyu. If he won, it would be a reversal. If he lost, it did not mean that he was weak. In the 3 battles, Xiao Shiyu's sword skills had already convinced the audience. Ding, 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 ding. Top swordsman against top swordsman had always been a very dangerous battle. In terms of technique, they had reached a divine level. Any ordinary sword move could be turned into something magical in their hands. Damn, he's really abnormal. He can even take advantage of such a small flaw. It's too exaggerated. What kind of battle is this? Just looking at it makes people's hair stand on end. The 18 people who were watching the battle were fine, but the eliminated people outside the Golden Gate were holding their breaths, deeply afraid to miss any detail. In fact, so far, they had not seen the real details, and there were only a few people who could see through it. Dang! A strange sound came from the collision of swords. Xiao Shiyu's arm stiffened for a moment. Poochie. In the next moment, Yi Chen's figure flashed past Xiao Shiyu's side, and Xiao Shiyu's head flew. He's really a scary person. Until now, I wonder how much of his strength he has revealed. Lu Wenxiu shook her head. In the battle between Yi Chen and Xiao Shiyu, the move that appeared the most was not the sword move of the fusion of water and fire, but the vibration sword skill. Although Xiao Shiyu was strong, after countless collisions with the vibration sword skill, his arm had become numb uncontrollably. Once the arm became numb, the flaw would naturally be revealed. When facing Yi Chen, even the slightest flaw was terrifying. Forget it, I'll just admit defeat when I face him in the next round. Yang Feihua also shook her head. Eyesight and violence were her biggest advantages, but after watching this battle, she felt that her eyesight paled in comparison to her opponent. As for violence, it should be a joke in her opponent's eyes. In the 10th round, Divine Wind Kick Ouyang Taiying forfeited. In the 11th round, Yang Feihua forfeited. 11 consecutive victories. Currently, there are only a few people who can maintain that. The crowd was discussing. Just wait and see. He's luckier. So far, he has not encountered a popular figure. If he does, I'm afraid he will still lose. At present, there were 3 popular figures, namely Peerless King Arju, Lifeless Swordsman Lung Feifen, and Tyrannosaurus Yang Ting. In addition, Xia Xiaoshan and Infernal Illusionist Liu Feng were also popular figures. Xie Xiaoshan's Hadouken defeated Zhu Jian, while Li Yifeng's illusions were terrifying. Death illusionist Ji Chengyu was also defeated by him. Chapter 1068. In the 12th round, Yi Chen continued to maintain his winning streak. His opponent was Divine Wind Futoyang Taiying, who chose to forfeit. In the 10th match of the 12th round, Seamless Illusionist Li Yifeng faced off against Azure Dragon Swordsman Xiao Shiyu. This battle was full of ups and downs. The situation reversed several times. Sometimes it was Li Yifeng, and sometimes it was Xiao Shiyu. There was even a moment when Xiao Shiyu almost killed Li Yifeng. How strange. Outside the Golden Gate, everyone was confused. They had no idea what was happening on the martial stage. Of course, this was mainly related to the illusion technique. Only those who were affected by the illusion technique would be able to see the appearance of the illusion technique. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to see anything. Of course, nothing was absolute in this world. Even if they weren't affected by the illusions, they could still see. For example, Yi Chen. Yi Chen's eyes turned silver. This wasn't a sign of entering the selfless realm, but the ability of the eye of the soul had shifted to his eyes. In his line of sight, the martial stage was still the martial stage. However, there were two Li Yifengs on the stage. One was Li Yifeng's real body, and the other was created by the illusions. Obviously, Xiao Shiyu was affected by the illusions and couldn't see Li Yifeng's real body. She thought that the Li Yifeng created by the illusions was his real body. The reason why Li Yifeng was called Seamless Illusionist was because his illusions didn't have any gaps. It wasn't a big deal if you could see through one illusion. He could seamlessly create one illusion after another, making it so that you didn't have time to break them. You would be tired of dealing with them, and eventually, you would fall into the illusion. Xiao Shiyu was already very amazing. She had broken through Li Yifeng's illusions 13 times in a row. This was the 14th time. Reversal. A sneer appeared on Li Yifeng's face. He flipped his palm, and his palm faced upwards. A strange scene occurred. The Li Yifeng created by the illusions instantly merged into Xiao Shiyu's body. In the next moment, Xiao Shiyu began to mutilate herself. She thinks of herself as an opponent. Yi Chen didn't know whether Xiao Shiyu saw the same thing as him. He only knew that Xiao Shiyu was about to lose. Kai. Blood splattered everywhere. Li Yifeng's real body flashed to Xiao Shiyu's side and reached out to take her head. Li Yifeng knew that it was impossible for him to defeat Xiao Shiyu by relying on illusions alone. To be able to rank in the top 10 of the Heavenly King decree, which one of them didn't have a tenacious will? Illusions could confuse them for a moment, but they couldn't confuse them forever. But for Li Yifeng, a moment was enough. Li Yifeng's illusions are too terrifying. Even someone as powerful as Xiao Shiyu was defeated by him. Millimeter. In a one-on-one battle, Li Yifeng might not be the strongest. But in a team battle, I estimate that he is no less useful than peerless King Arju. Everyone dreaded Li Yifeng, including the top-ranked individuals. The 13th round began. In this round, Li Yifeng persisted. In his 5th match, he defeated ghost talent Lu Wanxiu. The 6th match was between Yi Chen and Zhu Jian. After 12 rounds of battles, Yi Chen's fame had skyrocketed. Apart from the most popular figures, he was in the limelight for a while. On the other hand, Zhu Jian was one of the older influential figures, and was ranked 3rd on the Heaven King ranking. Even though he had lost to Xie Xiaoshan, his reputation had declined, but a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Zhu Jian was still a formidable opponent, and not everyone had the qualifications to be his opponent. Perhaps it was because he had lost to Xie Xiaoshan that Zhu Jian had been suppressing his anger, or perhaps it was because of Yi Chen that he had developed a sense of crisis. Zhu Jian launched a fierce attack at Yi Chen from the very beginning. He used his ultimate skills one after another. Clang, 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 clang. Yi Chen's fighting style was not as violent and crazy as Xie Xiaoshan's. But the audience sucked in a breath of cold air. Yi Chen's sword skills had reached a new realm of sharpness and precision. This was a realm that Azure Dragon swordsman Xiao Shiyu and flawless swordsman Zhao Wuke could not reach. On the battling platform, Sword chi crisscrossed and fist energies whistled. No matter how fierce Zhu Jian's attacks were, he could not threaten Yi Chen even a little bit. His momentum seemed vast and unstoppable. But, if one were to observe carefully, it would give people a feeling of a cornered beast fighting. It was a strange feeling. Because, judging from the situation, Zhu Jian was not at a disadvantage. He was attacking and defending with Yi Chen. Meteor rupturing fist. Zhu Jian faintly felt that something was wrong. He roared and threw out a punch. Hundreds of dazzling fist energies were like meteors, flying towards Yi Chen. Although the power of the meteor rupturing fist was not as strong as the meteor rupturing fist, it only had 20 to 30% of its power. But it was faster and had a lot of energy. Every dazzling fist energy contained 2 layers of energy. Being hit by so many fist energies, unless one's defense had reached the level of violent dragon Yang Ting, no one would be able to take it. Facing so many fist energies, Yi Chen only waved his sword. Crackle. The dazzling fist energies were all destroyed. In the next second, Yi Chen's feet shone with sword light. In a split second, he appeared behind Zhu Jian. Poochie. A third of Zhu Jian's neck had been cut open. Blood gushed out like a fountain. Pretty strong defense. Yi Chen did not expect Zhu Jian's defense to be this strong. That sword attack just now was the 3rd move of the vibrational sword spell, Sky Absolute Sword. It contained the perfect metal profound and the great success earth profound. With these 2 profounds, it produced vibrating power, which was way more powerful than any normal top-rank profound sword attack. He broke through Zhu Jian's defense so easily and almost cut off his head. Everyone was shocked. Compared to the others, Zhu Jian was even more shocked. He knew his defense the best. Although Xie Xiaoshan had defeated him, if it was a real life or death battle, Xie Xiaoshan would not be able to gain the upper hand without exchanging tens of thousands of blows. Even with Xie Xiaoshan's extraordinary attack power, he was only slightly injured. In comparison, Yi Chen's sword attack was more threatening. As long as his head was cut off, with Yi Chen's attack speed, he could be killed in an instant. Titan protection. His flesh wriggled, and the wound on Zhu Jian's neck recovered. He hurried to increase the distance between him and Yi Chen. Qi surged from his body, forming an illusionary full-body armor, which made his body several times bigger, like a small giant. But it was all in vain. The sword did not manage to cut off Zhu Jian's head. Yi Chen turned around and attacked again. This time, it was merciless water and fire. The green sword light flashed across Zhu Jian's neck, and in the next second, Zhu Jian's head flew high into the air. Yi Chen won. He has already won 13 times in a row. Even Zhu Jian could not stop him. So scary. In the 14th round, Xiao Shiyu defeated Lu Wenxiu, Violent Dragon Yang Ting defeated Green Lightning King Jiyu Qingxue, Peerless King Aju defeated Zhu Jian, and Lifeless Swordsman Lung Feifan defeated Soul Slasher by Li Huan. In the 7th round, Yi Chen against Seamless Illusionist Li Yifeng. Li Yifeng's illusions had already reached the acme of perfection. Even Azure Dragon Swordsman Xiao Shiyu had fallen to his hands. Although Yi Chen had defeated Xiao Shiyu, everyone present felt that this battle would be very dangerous. Illusions were different from combat strength. If one was not careful, they would fall into a trap. No matter how monstrous one's strength was, they would still become fish on the chopping block. Therefore, the majority of people believed that Yi Chen was not Li Yifeng's opponent. On the martial stage, Yi Chen and Li Yifeng stood 100 miles apart. Li Yifeng had a smile on his face as he sized up Yi Chen. Yi Chen was also sizing up Li Yifeng. Li Yifeng was known as the #1 illusionist of the younger generation in the 4 major lifestyle fields. Naturally, his reputation was not undeserved. A swordsman's will had always been very condensed, and their sword intent could cut through all illusions. However, Azure Dragon Swordsman Xiao Shiyu had still fallen to Li Yifeng's hands. This was enough to prove that Li Yifeng's illusions could no longer be judged with common sense. Let's begin. Li Yifeng faintly smiled. Yi Chen said, "Hasn't it already begun?" Frowning, Li Yifeng suspiciously sized up Yi Chen. As for the audience, except for a few people, everyone else was confused. What had begun? What had begun? What did they mean by begun? Peerless King Arju said to himself, interesting. Several hundred meters away, Lung Feifen maintained a grim expression. No one could see anything from his face. Li Yifeng took the initiative to attack. With a wave of his hand, countless black bats swooped towards Yi Chen. These bats had sharp claws and teeth, and their eyes were red. Their small bodies contained an astonishing amount of energy. As for Li Yifeng himself, he was like a phantom, shuttling back and forth among the black bats, waiting for an opportunity to give Yi Chen a fatal blow. Yi Chen stood in the center of the martial stage, not even intending to draw his sword. Hoo. In the next moment, numerous black bats swooped down on Yi Chen's body. Li Yifeng also sent a palm strike towards Yi Chen's head. Just as Yi Chen was about to be hit, everything vanished. Amazing. Li Yifeng clapped his hands. Same to you. Yi Chen's expression didn't change. What happened? As for the audience, they were all scratching their heads in confusion. On the martial stage, Li Yifeng and Yi Chen hadn't moved at all. How come one said he was amazing and the other said the same to him? Yang Feihua sighed. Just now, Li Yifeng should have launched an illusion attack. In order to make the other party fall into an illusion, a medium was needed. The most common medium was the eyes. Of course, Li Yifeng had already reached the point of using everything as a medium. However, to a master that had been tempered countless times, the most common illusions were actually the most effective. For instance, if you used an illusion to create a world, there would definitely be a flaw. This was because the world created by an illusion and the real world would always have a slight difference. It was just that you didn't notice it or missed it. As for ordinary illusions, they basically had no flaws at all. Of course, ordinary illusions were still ordinary illusions in the end. The lethality wasn't too great. In a one-on-one situation, even if someone fell for it, they would quickly wake up. But for complex illusions, if they didn't fall for it, then they would fall for it and be unable to extricate themselves. It was obvious that at some unknown time, Li Yifeng had used an illusion on Yi Chen. As for Yi Chen, he had seen through the illusion and remained indifferent. Li Yifeng wouldn't blindly use illusions because that would be far too fake. Li Yifeng's own combat strength was also extremely terrifying. He was in no way inferior to ghost talent Lu Wenxiu and the others. By relying on his own combat strength and illusions that were hard to distinguish between real and fake, Li Yifeng displayed the essence of an illusionist to the limit. Often, if you thought it was fake, then you would be directly killed. But if you thought it was real, then you would fall into an illusion. Although it seemed like you had to choose between the two, the truth was that you didn't have a choice. Autumn water, profound meaning, thousand autumns shatter. Yi Chen closed his eyes. When he opened them again, a brilliant light shot out in all directions. He slashed out with his sword and the void rippled like a lake. Ripples spread out, spreading onto Li Yifeng's body. Hua! Blood splashed out. Li Yifeng had been defeated. Yi Chen had won 14 straight victories. Chapter 1069. To deal with Li Yifeng, Yi Chen did not need to use his soul eyes. His opponent's illusions seemed very realistic, but with Yi Chen's eyesight, he could still see the flaws. If he could see the flaws, then it was naturally an illusion. Thus, it would not be easy for his soul to create illusions. It could be said that defeating Li Yifeng was several times easier than defeating Xiao Shiyu. Li Yifeng's pure battle power was far inferior to Xiao Shiyu's. Li Yifeng was easily defeated by Yi Chen. This naturally surprised the audience. No matter how stupid they were, they knew that Yi Chen did not fear illusions. In other words, seamless illusionist Li Yifeng's illusions were not qualified to be a problem for Yi Chen. His swordsmanship is extraordinary, and he doesn't fear Li Yifeng's illusions. It seems that the only way to defeat him is to fight him head-on. Yes. Although martial artists have a natural counter to each other, it is rare for a swordsman to be countered, let alone a swordsman at this level. As the audience discussed, the 8th match began. Tyrannosaurus Yang Ting against Black Destruction King Zhu Jian. Tyrannosaurus Yang Ting's true form was that of an armored dragon. His defense and strength were astonishing. At the same level, An armored dragon could easily fight dozens of enemies. Ordinary people could not even break through his defense, let alone contend with him. Therefore, in order to contend with a dragon at the same level, one's attack power must be high enough. If one's attack power was not high enough, all other methods would be useless. So far, Tyrannosaurus Yang Ting had not been defeated. As for Black Destruction King Zhu Jian, he had lost twice. Once to Xie Xiaoshan, and once to Yi Chen. His momentum was much weaker than usual, but Yi Chen knew that Zhu Jian was actually very strong. If Yi Chen had only used 30% of his strength against Lu Wenxiu, then Yi Chen had used 40% to 40% of his strength against Azure Dragon Swordsman Xiao Shiyu. And now, against Zhu Jian, Yi Chen had used 60% of his strength. Do not underestimate this 60% strength. Compared to when he left Elysium, Yi Chen's strength had more than doubled. Now, he could completely contend with a 6th-layer Life and Death Realm Demon King. In the Life and Death Realm, it would be easier to battle against those with higher realms in the early stages. But, after reaching the 4th realm, it would be much more difficult. Most of the 20 people present were at the 4th realm, and only a few of them were at the 5th realm. No one was in a hurry to make a breakthrough, as they wanted to stabilize their foundation as much as possible. Only then would they be able to reach the higher realms. Not to mention the others, even Yi Chen himself had more than 70% chance of reaching the 4th realm if he wanted to. But, he was not in a hurry, as he knew that a little impatience would ruin the big plan. Confronting a 6th-layer Life and Death Realm Demon King with peak 3rd-layer Life and Death Realm was indeed frightening. Although there were 5th-layer Life and Death Realm experts present, the ones who could do this could be counted on one's fingers. Of course, among the 20, the truly powerful ones were the ones at the 4th layer, such as Peerless King Aju, Lifeless Blade Artist Lung Feifen, Xie Xiaoshan, and Tyrannical Dragon Yang Ting. They were all at the 4th layer, but their strength was frighteningly powerful. The battle began. Qi energies crisscrossed on the stage, and fist energies were extremely fierce. Yang Ting and Zhu Jian were both body-refining monarchs. However, in comparison, Zhu Jian was at a disadvantage. Although Zhu Jian's qi power was not ordinary qi power, it was the Vajra qi power cultivated through body-refining cultivation technique. However, compared to Yang Ting's dragon power, there was still a big gap. Dragon power was ferocious and unstoppable. It was the king of qi power. Within the same realm, it could be said that there was no qi power that could compete with it. Under the suppression of the dragon power, Zhu Jian's diamond qi power was the first to fall into a disadvantageous position. Weeping blood diamond, meteor exploding fist. Zhu Jian's qi power suddenly turned blood red, and his aura surged. This was a qi power secret art that could greatly increase the explosive power and destructive power of qi power. However, it was a huge burden on the body. Unless it was a crucial moment, Zhu Jian would not use this secret art. When he was fighting against Yi Chen, Zhu Jian did not use this secret art. It was not that he was enduring, but because he was too careless, he did not have time to think, and his head was chopped off by Yi Chen. Now, facing Yang Ting, he finally burst out with his true strength. Boom, 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 hundreds of blood-red fist energies bombarded Yang Ting. It was incomparably dazzling. Amazing, looks like I also have to use my true strength. Yang Ting's muscles squirmed, transforming into a dragon man with a dragon head and a human body. His body was covered with black dragon armor, and his dragon eyes were cold and emotionless. Roar. With a loud roar, Yang Ting punched out, and a dragon-shaped qi power violently surged out. Giant Dragon Fist, 4th Order Sacred Dragon Fist. Sacred Dragon Fist. Yi Chen's eyes narrowed. Xu Jing had also used this fist art before. Dazzling light burst out, and the entire martial stage was filled with light. In the next second, a human figure was sent flying. It was Zhu Jian. Compared to Yang Ting, he was still much weaker. After all, one was a human, and the other was a giant dragon. However, Zhu Jian did not admit defeat just like that. He had lost against Xie Xiaoshan, Yi Chen, and now, he lost against Yang Ting again. Zhu Jian had achieved a breakthrough. His bones were cracking, and his aura was like a broken dam. Once again, A layer of silver light appeared on the surface of his skin. The second stage of the selfless state, the higher level of the selfless body. There were two paths to the second stage of the selfless state. One was the selfless heavenly eyes. After entering the selfless heavenly eyes, one's pupils would turn golden, and according to the depth of the golden color, one could determine the level of the warrior. The other was the selfless body, which was different from the selfless heavenly eyes. After entering the selfless body, one's skin and flesh would emit a silver light. At the beginning, this silver light was not obvious, and it was hidden inside the body. But at the higher level, the silver light could no longer be hidden, and would appear on the surface of the skin, like a silver Iron Man. Meteor exploding fist. With a loud roar, Zhu Jian forcefully stopped his body from flying backward, and threw a punch towards Yang Ting. Yang Ting did not expect Zhu Jian to have a breakthrough in the middle of a battle, and was caught off guard. But after all, he was not an ordinary person. After taking a deep breath, his arms were like a dragon coming out of the sea, facing Zhu Jian's meteor exploding fist head-on. Two smaller dragon-shaped chi, one on the left and one on the right, violently shot out. This time, Yang Ting was pushed back. Both of his feet rubbed against the surface of the stage, and he slid back hundreds of miles. The friction even created a series of burning sparks. Feeling a little stuffy in his chest, Yang Ting raised his head and looked forward. However, a fist was enlarging in his pupils, attacking at high speed. It was the meteor exploding fist again. Boom, boom, boom. Again and again, Yang Ting was pushed back again and again, as if he could not block Zhu Jian's attacks. Good, you are indeed the Dark Destruction King, Zhu Jian. Everyone has underestimated you. Yang Ting, who had been blown away by Zhu Jian's punch, was bleeding from the corner of his mouth. He laughed out loud, but his arms that were covered with a layer of black dragon armor had evolved again, turning into dragon arms and dragon claws, real dragon claws. Seeing that Zhu Jian's fist was about to land on his head, he reached out his right hand and instantly grabbed Zhu Jian's wrist. What? Zhu Jian's pupils enlarged. Before, his opponent's attack speed was about the same as his, just a little stronger. But now, his attack speed had increased by a lot, and he had grabbed his wrist in an instant. Die. Yang Ting grinned. His left hand that had turned into a dragon claw tightened, and exploded Zhu Jian's head. He is indeed the Tyrannosaurus Yang Ting. After showing his true strength, he defeated Zhu Jian in an instant. Zhu Jian is not simple either, to be able to break through in the middle of a battle. Come to think of it, his current strength should not be any weaker than Xie Xiaoshan and Yi Chen. Both Yang Ting's strength and Zhu Jian's self-breakthrough had shocked the crowd. In the 9th battle, Xie Xiaoshan defeated the Green Lightning King, Jiyu Qingxue. In the 10th battle, the lifeless blade artist, Leng Feifen defeated Yang Feihua. Soon, the 14th round ended, and the 15th round began. In the first battle of this round, there was already a popular battle. Xie Xiaoshan versus Yi Chen. Xie Xiaoshan had the heart of a newborn, without any impurities. He was like a boy next door, a mountain boy. However, once he used Hadouken, his aura would undergo a huge change. And when he used the 5th style of Hadouken, Killing Intent Hadouken, his aura would become even more terrifying. It was as if the heart of a newborn had actually increased the power of the demonic fist. This time, Yi Chen is going to lose. The eccentric Speed Wolf King shook his head. From Yang Feihua, he already knew how terrifying Xie Xiaoshan was. This was a monster that could not be judged by common sense. No matter how powerful Yi Chen's sword art was, facing a monster, it would be useless. It shouldn't be so simple. Of course, I am also confident in Xie Xiaoshan. Yang Feihua frowned and said, on the battling platform. My Hadouken has 5 styles, let's start from the 3rd. 5 styles of Hadouken, each style was more powerful than the previous. The 5th style, Killing Intent Hadouken, had reached an extreme level, and the 3rd style could not be underestimated either. While speaking, Xie Xiaoshan jumped into the air, both of his fists punched out continuously. Hundreds, no, thousands of high-pressure light balls shot out from Xie Xiaoshan's fists, covering the sky and covering the earth. From the number, It was several times more than Zhu Jian's meteor-rupturing fist. Yi Chen did not look down on his opponent. He instantly pulled out the demon-slaughtering sword and slashed out horizontally and vertically. Crackle! The huge cross-shaped sword light shattered the thousands of high-pressure light balls. The fourth style. Xie Xiaoshan naturally did not think that the third style of Hadouken could do anything to his opponent. It was just a test. His body suddenly rushed forward, and Xie Xiaoshan threw out the fourth style of Hadouken. As soon as the fourth style of Hadouken was performed, the high-pressure light balls were as big as mountains, like a huge sun. With Xie Xiaoshan's high-speed dive, the light balls quickly shrunk, and finally shrunk to the size of a longan, concentrated on Xie Xiaoshan's fist. I want to see your fifth style of Hadouken. Yi Chen shook his head, his right hand held the demon-slaughtering sword, and suddenly threw it out. Swish! Swish! The demon-slaughtering sword instantly turned into 100 sword shadows, and Xie Xiaoshan was blown away. The fourth style of Hadouken was broken by itself. Defensive sword art, 100 swords attack. Chapter 1070. The cultivation of the defensive sword art was getting harder and harder as it progressed, and correspondingly, the increase in power was also incomparable. The 9 return to 1 sword art combined the power of 81 sword phantoms together, giving it a piercing power that could pierce through anything. Each of the 100 sword phantoms had 30% of the power of the 9 return to 1 sword art, and the 100 sword phantoms had 30 times the power of the 9 return to 1 sword art. Although it would not be as destructive as the 9 return to 1 sword art, it was still not something to be underestimated. Most importantly, the 100 sword phantoms were almost unavoidable, and their speed was close to the speed of light. After sending Xie Xiaoshan flying with one attack, Yi Chen said that he wanted to see his opponent's fifth movement, oscillating fist. Yi Chen could tell that when Xie Xiaoshan was fighting with Zhu Jian, he had not fully performed the fifth movement, and had only accumulated a bit of power before throwing it out. Xie Xiaoshan was sent flying. The speed freak Wolf King was shocked. After flying for a few thousand miles, Xie Xiaoshan finally stopped and stood in the air. His body was covered with sword scars, and with a rough look, there were exactly 100 of them. Xie Xiaoshan released his killing intent, trying to get rid of the sword intent on the scars. His killing intent, which was also known as the slaughter intent, had been trained to the peak of the 6th rank, which was equivalent to the peak of the 7th rank. However, what made him frown was that the sword intent on the scars was extremely hard to get rid of. Destruction sword intent. Xie Xiaoshan let out a sigh. His master had told him that the destruction intent and immortal intent were above the slaughter intent, and the destruction intent was the bane of the slaughter intent. Therefore, when he met someone with these two intents, he had to be careful. After a few breaths, the sword intent was finally cleared, and the wound was instantly healed. Raising his head, Xie Xiaoshan looked at Yi Chen and said, "Great, you will be the first person to truly witness the killing intent Hadouken." The first form was the foundation of Hadouken, and there was nothing much to say about it. The second form was called Destruction Hadouken, and the third form was called Meteor Hadouken, which was similar to Zhu Jian's meteor-rupturing fist. The fourth form was called Annihilation Hadouken, which had the power to annihilate a star. The fifth form was called Killing Intent Hadouken, which contained the realm of selflessness. Other than selflessness, it also contained selflessness. The killing intent penetrated through everything, and was extremely dangerous. During the battle with Zhu Jian, Xie Xiaoshan had only used a little bit of his killing intent Hadouken. His opponent was not qualified enough for him to use his full strength. Moreover, his killing intent Hadouken had not reached the advanced level, so he should not use it too much. Make your move. With the demon slaughtering sword in his hand, Yi Chen slashed at his opponent with the Heaven Absolute Sword. Hoochie. The blurry sword light traveled through thousands of miles, creating a sword screen at Xie Xiaoshan's location. At the critical moment, Xie Xiaoshan managed to dodge it. Killing intent Hadouken, activating his body art, Xie Xiaoshan rushed towards Yi Chen. Thousands of miles were covered in less than a second. During this process, Xie Xiaoshan's face turned ferocious. The muscles on his body started to wriggle. From a skinny teenager, he had turned into a strong and powerful young man. His exaggerated muscles were filled with violence and killing intent, and a layer of faint red qi lingered around him. Yi Chen felt as if his soul had been locked on by a killing intent. This killing intent was illusory, yet so real. Yi Chen tried to use his destruction sword intent to extinguish this killing intent, but he discovered that the killing intent was endless and endless. Unless his destruction sword intent could reach the 7th step from peak 6th step and instantly extinguish all the killing intent, it would be of no use. What a great killing intent Hadouken! Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen raised the demon slaughtering sword high up. The raging green flame started to burn, making the sword look like a huge fire sword. Whoosh! With a sharp look in his eyes, Yi Chen threw out another sword attack. This time, he had used the merciless water and fire. However, he did not use all of his power, only about 80%. An earth-shattering explosion resounded as the stage shook. Amidst the dazzling explosion, the jade-green sword screen was extremely eye-catching. Puking out a mouthful of blood, Xia Xiaoshan was once again blown away. His killing intent Hadouken had not reached completion yet, so how could he compete with Yi Chen's merciless water and fire? If he was a monster, then Yi Chen would be a genius among monsters, without any weaknesses. This fist attack is very powerful. Unfortunately, it has not reached completion yet. Wait until it reaches completion, then we can fight again. After sending Xia Xiaoshan flying with one sword attack, Yi Chen's second sword attack followed closely, shattering Xia Xiaoshan's body. Xia Xiaoshan lost. Yi Chen had won 15 battles in a row. Invincible. A total of 19 battles, and there are still 4 left. In these 4 battles, soul-breaking spear Jiang Hao is definitely not his opponent. Only peerless King Aju, lifeless blade artist Lung Feifen, and Tyrannosaurus Yang Ting are left. Even if he loses all 3 battles, he will still be ranked 4th. And he seems to only be at peak 3rd sky of life and death realm. Most of the people present were at the 4th sky of life and death realm, with a few at the 5th and 3rd sky. Only Yi Chen was at the 3rd sky. Don't look down on the gap of 1 sky. In other words, once Yi Chen entered the 4th sky of life and death realm, his battle power would increase by several folds. What kind of concept was several folds? He would probably be able to kill most people with 1 finger. Next, Xiao Shiyu defeated Lu Wenxiu, and Zhu Jian defeated Li Yifeng with his astonishing defense. In the 8th battle, Tyrannosaurus Yang Ting faced Green Thunder King Jiyu Qingxue. Jiyu Qingxue pushed her advantages to the extreme. Within the electric field domain, her speed was close to the speed of light, and her lightning burst repeatedly blasted into the Tyrannosaurus Yang Ting. The powerful hidden aqua lightning left charred marks on his body. Unfortunately, Yang Ting's defense was even higher than Zhu Jian's. No matter how Jiyu Qingxue attacked, she couldn't injure Yang Ting too much. As if feeling ashamed, Yang Ting displayed his might. A dragon roar resounded, and a frightening dragon might spread out in all directions. Within the range of the dragon might, Jiyu Qingxue's speed suddenly dropped. Although the dragon might couldn't weaken the electric field, it could suppress her Jin Yuan and body. At this moment, the electric field was Jiyu Qingxue's weakness. If she had another powerful field, she could use it to contend against Yang Ting's dragon might, which was equivalent to Yang Ting's field. With her speed greatly reduced, Jiyu Qingxue could only hold on for a short while before losing miserably to Yang Ting. Although the 15 battles had yet to end, the rankings were already clear. If there were no surprises, the top 5 would definitely be Peerless King Aju, Yang Ting, Lifeless Blade Artist Lung Feifen, Xia Xiaoshan, and Yi Chen. Up until now, they had been the strongest, while the others were much weaker. The 6th to 10th places would probably be Zhu Jian, Jiyu Qingxue, Xiao Shiyu, Li Yifeng, Yang Feihua, and Lu Wenxiu. Unknowingly, the 15th round had ended. The 3rd battle of the 16th round, Lung Feifen against Xia Xiaoshan. The result of this battle would further determine the top 5 rankings. If Xia Xiaoshan lost to Lung Feifen, then he would at most be ranked 4th, because Peerless King Aju was definitely more powerful than him. Adding Yi Chen and Lung Feifen who had defeated him, there were already 3 of them. If he could beat Lung Feifen, then he would have a chance to be ranked 3rd, while Lung Feifen would at most be ranked 4th. After all, if he couldn't even beat Xie Xiaoshan, then he definitely wouldn't be able to beat Yi Chen. Boom 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 boom. The battle had reached its climax since the beginning of the battle. Blade chi and fist power clashed continuously. Meteor Hadouken. Xie Xiaoshan performed the 3rd style of Hadouken, trying to disrupt Lung Feifen's rhythm. Shura chop. Lung Feifen's expression didn't change at all. He raised his long blade high above his head and slashed down. This blade attack was indestructible, as huge as a mountain. The horrifying blade light gave people the illusion that it could split the sky and the earth. Puff puff. Xie Xiaoshan's Meteor Hadouken was instantly broken. So powerful. With a serious look in his eyes, Lung Feifen gave Xie Xiaoshan the feeling of extreme danger. Different from Yi Chen's aura was sharp, and one had to be extremely careful in front of him. Therefore, Xie Xiaoshan had a feeling that he couldn't let go of his hands and feet. Only the killing intent Hadouken could make him use all of his strength. However, Lung Feifen's aura was one that had been tempered 1,000 times. Each of his moves was simple. Normal killing intent would not be able to shake his mind. Looks like I'll have to use the killing intent Hadouken directly. His muscles wiggled, and Xie Xiaoshan turned into a muscular young man. Every inch of his flesh, every strand of hair, even his fluttering clothes, contained an extremely horrifying killing intent. As he threw out a punch, all of the killing intent was blasted out along with the fist power. At this moment, he had entered the Anatta state, which was even more mysterious and dangerous than the normal Anatta state. Crack. A crack appeared on the platform under his feet, but soon, the crack closed up. Lung Feifen's arms also expanded, and streams of red light flowed into the long blade through his arms. The long blade suddenly enlarged, from 1 meter long to 100 meters long. However, the handle did not become thicker or longer. Holding the huge blade in his hand, Lung Feifen took a step forward and slashed out. No one could describe how horrifying and glorious this slash was. This slash was like a shooting star piercing through the silent sky, like the endless light from the exploding stars, like the reverse flow of the galaxy, shooting up into the sky. Under this slash, Xie Xiaoshan's killing intent seemed to be pushed back. Crack. A huge slash mark appeared above the battling platform, and Xie Xiaoshan's entire body exploded. Lifeless Azura slash. Lung Feifen's ultimate killing move. What? Killing Xie Xiaoshan with 1 slash? Yi Chen only used 2 slashes? Lifeless Azura slash, indeed lifeless. At this moment, the crowd finally saw Lung Feifen's real power. Even someone as strong as Xie Xiaoshan was killed in 1 slash. Under this slash, there was no way to dodge, because this slash had pulled back all of the chi, and the powerful blade aura could lock on a person's life. Thousands of battles. I'm afraid he has been through 10 times more battles than me. From this slash, Yi Chen saw countless information. He saw countless Lung Feifen waving his blade, from the weakest to the strongest. Lung Feifen had been through countless battles in his life. Under normal circumstances, an elite genius would definitely experience a lot of battles, but seriously speaking, normal battles were not considered real battles. Only those battles where the gap between the two sides was not that big could be considered a real battle. Therefore, most of the people here had been through hundreds of battles, but Lung Feifen had probably been through thousands of battles. Chapter 1071. After all, Xie Xiaoshan has not experienced many battles. He can't compare with these people who have been through many hardships. Yang Feihua sighed. Xie Xiaoshan had been like a hot knife through butter, winning every battle. Even Zhu Jian could not stop his progress. However, when he encountered Yi Chen and Lung Feifen, he was still far behind. Whether it was technique, battle power, or experience, he was no match for them. Next was the 4th and 5th battle. The 6th battle was between peerless King Arju and Azure Dragon swordsman Xiao Shiyu. Swish, swish, swish. Dragon-shaped sword lights flew out. After 15 battles, Xiao Shiyu's azure dragon sword technique had obviously improved. The sword energy was vigorous and continuous, firm and soft. Arju had a smile on his face. He did not make any moves, but his figure flickered. Every time he flickered, he could dodge a dragon-shaped sword light with ease. Galaxy Palm. After dodging the 7th dragon-shaped sword light, Arju suddenly slapped at Xiao Shiyu. Rumble. The palm energy was like a blue sea of stars, hitting Xiao Shiyu's body in an instant. Seeing that his protective Jin Yuan was about to break, Xiao Shiyu let out a long roar. Thousands of sword lights burst out of his body, blocking the surging galaxy palm energy. Sword Dao secret technique, Million Sword Sky Crusade. This secret technique was a bit similar to Fire Bird Star Prince Tsungyue's ominous blade chi. The difference was that Tsungyue's ominous blade chi needed to absorb a large amount of ominous chi, then use a secret technique to refine the blade chi, and finally combine it with one's own blade Dao will. Only after thousands of tempering could it succeed. On the other hand, Xiao Shiyu's Million Sword Sky Crusade did not need to rely on external objects. He only needed to breed a sword seed in his dantian with his own sword Dao Jin Yuan. Of course, this process was very difficult, not much easier than the ominous blade chi. Once the sword seed was successfully bred, it could be stimulated, causing countless sword chi to burst out along with Jin Yuan. It could be used for both defense and counterattack. The only weakness was that every time the sword seed burst out, it would weaken. It would take a long time for it to recover or even reach the next level. In the previous battles, Xiao Shiyu had already used the Million Sword Sky Crusade once, which was against Yi Chen. This time, he used it again. Not bad. With a smile on his face, Arju also slapped out with his left hand. Suddenly, the blue sea of stars became several times denser and more violent. The sword light that erupted from Xiao Shiyu's body couldn't withstand it at all and was quickly pushed back. Pop! In the next moment, countless sword lights exploded, and Xiao Shiyu's entire body exploded. Xiao Shiyu couldn't even withstand a single blow from Arju. Everyone was amazed by peerless King Arju's strength. Previously, the lifeless swordsman had used the lifeless Azura chop to defeat Xia Xiaoshan, but that was still an extremely powerful killing move. Arju's Galaxy Godly Palm was just an ordinary killing move. It was said that he was not only proficient in palm arts, but also in fist arts, finger arts, and leg arts. As for what peerless King Arju's true ultimate move was, no one knew, because no one had ever been able to force him to use it. In his hands, an ordinary ultimate move was incomparably terrifying. As the battle between Arju and Xiao Shiyu ended, the 7th battle began. The two sides of this battle were Li Yifeng and Yang Feihua. Li Yifeng's illusions had undoubtedly reached the point of perfection. The only ones who could see through his illusions were peerless King Arju, lifeless swordsman Lung Feifen, and Yi Chen. As for violent dragon Yang Ting and Black Destruction King Zhu Jian, they relied on their powerful defenses to defeat their opponents. After all, illusions were very difficult to defeat experts of this level. What Li Yifeng could do was to use illusions to confuse his opponents and then personally attack. The others were fine, but Yang Ting and Zhu Jian's defenses were too strong. Li Yifeng couldn't defeat them in an instant, and in the end, he was defeated by them. Jiyu Qingxue and Xia Xiaoshan had both defeated Li Yifeng. Jiyu Qingxue's electric current blast was able to directly target Li Yifeng's life magnetic field and wasn't affected by illusions. It could be said that she was Li Yifeng's nemesis. As for Xia Xiaoshan's killing intent oscillating fist, it was able to lock onto the soul and was also Li Yifeng's nemesis. Yang Feihua and Li Yifeng's battle proceeded very quickly. Unexpectedly, Yang Feihua won. It turned out that Yang Feihua had cultivated a rare soul arcane technique. This soul arcane technique didn't have any auxiliary effects, it couldn't be used for soul attacks, nor could it be used for soul defense. However, it could reflect the vast majority of negative effects, including illusions. With this soul arcane technique, Yang Feihua defeated Li Yifeng. Now, she and Lu Wenxiu were equal in points, both ranked 10th. Before this, Lu Wenxiu had defeated Yang Feihua, but she had lost to Li Yifeng. Now that Yang Feihua had defeated Li Yifeng, there was no doubt that they were even. The 8th match, the peak battle once again arrived. Yi Chen against violent dragon Yang Ting. After experiencing 15 rounds of battles, no one dared to underestimate Yi Chen anymore. He had used his own strength to prove himself. Li Yifeng, Xiao Shiyu, Zhu Jian, and Xia Xiaoshan, all of these famous characters had been defeated by his hands one after another. Not to mention anything else, just in terms of swordsmanship, he was already the number one in the younger generation of the 4 major lifestyle fields. No one could compare to him. As for how far he could go, that was something no one could guess. Violent Dragon Yang Ting didn't need to be mentioned. His defense and strength were enough to make one's hair stand on end. He was a true iron-armored dragon. Haha, finally someone worth watching. That's good too. Let's warm up before the final battle. Yang Ting still attached some importance to Yi Chen. If he was careless, he would end up in a sorry state. Of course, it was just a sorry state. He didn't think that Yi Chen could defeat him. In his eyes, his true opponents were Lung Feifen and a Jew. Even someone as strong as Yi Chen could only warm him up. He wouldn't pose too much of a threat to him. Yang Ting seems to have a lot of confidence in himself. The battle strength Yi Chen displayed is comparable to his. Could it be that he has the confidence to defeat Yi Chen? That's hard to say. If Yang Ting isn't lying, then he should be holding back a lot of his strength. If Yang Ting can hold back his strength, then maybe Yi Chen can as well. That's not very likely. Yang Ting is after all an old famous character. His strength is obvious to all. Yi Chen is only at the peak of 3rd sky of life and death realm. Reaching this stage is probably his limit. How could he still hold back? Even if he did, it would be very limited. The majority of people were still supporting Yang Ting. As for the sudden appearance of Yi Chen, they were skeptical. On the battling platform, the muscles on Yang Ting's body squirmed as he transformed into a dragon man covered in black dragon armor. Both of his hands turned into dragon claws. His fingernails were as sharp as blades, flickering with a cold light. They were not inferior to any divine weapon. On his buttocks, a long black shadow was swaying back and forth. On a closer look, it was a calf-thick tail. The tip of the tail was like a spear tip, triangular in shape. As the tail swayed back and forth, countless traces appeared in the void. Even a tail has appeared. Seems like Yang Ting has decided to fight seriously. Many people thought to themselves, "You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,